99th opener at historic Fenway Park. But it marks the first time a Fenway opener has happened at night. And what a stunningly beautiful evening it is for baseball's opening night. We have quite a matchup, too. The world champion Yankees on a mission to repeat, and their longtime rival, the Red Sox. And they begin together the 2010 Major League season head-to-head. So here we go. It's baseball's big stage, and the journey to a dream season is about to begin for baseball fans everywhere.
Let me show you a land, the greatest of all, with borders that stretch from the spring to the fall. Emerald fields plush with diamonds and pearls gleaming white, with meatballs becoming taters soaring into the night. A land of hot corners where hoses throw heat into your kitchen, where there's plenty to eat. There's pickles, there's pepper, there's peas, and there's cheese. And shoestrings make catches with the greatest of ease. Many eye-pleasing sights also found on display. An ace who throws deuces, a tailor-made double play. Ducks on the pond wait for screaming line drives to hitch a ride home aboard pop-up slides. This land welcomes all to dream and to play. This land is baseball. It's opening day.
About 6 o'clock here in Boston, the gates opened at Fenway Park, and fans, some who'd been waiting since the early hours of the morning to be here for opening night 2010, the season about to begin, and the Red Sox and Yankees are going together. Moments ago, the fans were electrified here at Fenway as the first ball ceremony was introduced with the former Red Sox, Pedro Martinez. He threw the pitch to Jason Varitek as the fans chanted, Pedro, Pedro. Pedro Martinez at Fenway tonight for the Yankees and the Red Sox. And this is ESPN's telecast of opening night baseball presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. We've got the Yankees, who won it all last year, the reigning champions of the baseball world, up against the Boston Red Sox, who won a couple of world titles themselves in just the last few seasons. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, along with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. Our 21st season of Sunday nights together, the 21st season of baseball coverage on ESPN. We're also pleased to welcome Orel Hershiser, the Bulldog, with us, former MVP of the World Series, a Cy Young winner, many, many trophies, many awards. One of the great pitchers of his time. In a moment, Orel. Stand by. First off, the Yankees. They won it all last year. And a ring for Alex Rodriguez. He may have thought it was never going to happen in New York, but it did happen last year. And you wouldn't have known about it early on in the year. Remember, he missed more than the first month of the season. He was not around for opening day after the hip surgery. Did not make his Yankees debut last year until May the 8th, Joe.
Well, John, if Reggie Jackson was the straw that stirred the drink, Alex Rodriguez is the fuel that drives this big engine. And as you mentioned, he missed most of the part of the season last year. They were 13-15 without him. They won 90 games and won 44 after Rodriguez returned. And most of the time they've talked about him not hitting in the clutch. Well, last year, 15 of his 30 home runs either tied the ball game or put the Yankees ahead. 51 of his RBIs, he had 100 RBIs. 51 of those either tied the ball game or put the Yankees ahead. So this is a new and improved Alex Rodriguez. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't win his third MVP for the Yankees.
And so he'll have to get it going here tonight against Josh Beckett, the Red Sox ace, and he's had great success in other opening day assignments for the Red Sox. He's going up against a man who was just sensational last year for the Yankees, and that's CC Sabathia.
Yeah, Josh Beckett has become the ace. He has been groomed into an ace. He signed back here in 2006. Remember, he had a reputation as a thrower and a little fragile, but then he went out and he won one more game that year than Kurt Schilling and Jason Varitek with his catcher. And that tutelage then, 2007, his biggest year, 20-7. He became the ace then. Now they've got three aces. But this ace they have on the mound, he is throwing the ball very well. Talk to John Farrell. He's keeping the ball down. He's going up the ladder, and he is in 2007 form, and that's right where the Red Sox want him.
So we've got two great ball clubs. We've got great pitchers going head-to-head. I've got two great former stars here with me in the booth. ESPN Baseball 21st season. Here we go. Josh Beckett making his way in to face Derek Jeter and the Yankees when we come back. ship it up to Boston for the Back Bay, Fenway Park. The 99th opening game here at Fenway. For the first time, it's a night game. And there is Joe Girardi, now the World Series winning manager of the New York Yankees. Ninth manager in Yankees history to have won at least one World Series. And let's take a look at his batting order tonight for the Yankees. It'll be Derek Jeter at shortstop. Nick Johnson acquired in the offseason the DH. Mark Teixeira at first base. Alex Rodriguez hits cleanup at third base. Robinson Cano, second base. Jorge Posada, 38-year-old catcher, hitting sixth, his 16th year with the Yankees. Curtis Granderson in center, the former Tiger. Nick Swisher in right. Brett Gardner in left field, batting ninth.
And Robinson Cano in that fifth hole. That's not just any fifth hole. If Alex Rodriguez is going to win his third MVP, Robinson Cano right now, the responsibility of protecting him. But the bad thing is, 228 with runners in scoring position last year, John.
So Cano, who had some impressive numbers, but still could be better. Josh Beckett, the big right-hander of the Red Sox, ready to go. The 2010 Major League season about to begin as Josh Beckett, 29 years old, 20-game winner in 2007, and he won the home opener here last year over Tampa Bay. He's had a lot of success in these opening day assignments as a member of the Red Sox. First ball swinging. The 2010 season begins on a ground ball to short, and the new Red Sox shortstop Marco Scutaro throws out Yankees shortstop Derek Jeter.
And John, that's one of the things they wanted from Beckett this year, is to keep the ball down, get a few more ground balls. You see, he had 17 wins last year. His earned run average was a little higher because he had 3 or 4 starts where he gave up 7 runs, 6 runs, and 5 runs. So he actually had a greater season than the statistics would verify.
Now Nick Johnson, who began his career as a Yankee, now back to New York. And he takes a fastball for a strike. He was with the Washington Nationals last year, and he's had a hard time staying healthy. But one thing is, when he is healthy and in that lineup, he gets on base a lot. He had a .426 on base average last year with Washington, and he is the Yankees' designated hitter. And they're hoping that as a DH that maybe he'll stay healthier. He's always been a first baseman.
I remember he started his career with the Yankees in the major leagues, and he was a guy that they liked a lot, but he was always injured.
Last year with Washington, and then ended up being traded to the Florida Marlins, and soon after he got there, he got hurt.
I think one of the keys of this sign right here, as the DH, there's not a lot of ego here, so the chemistry for Joe Girardi on the Yankees can stay pretty solid. It's not like moving a Johnny Damon or Hideki Matsui out of the order when A-Rod needs the DH or Derek Jeter needs the DH.
Left center field, hit pretty well. The new Red Sox center fielder, Mike Cameron, makes the catch right to the left of the 379 marker.
And that's the biggest part of this ballpark as far as the left field is concerned. The ball does not carry as well in that area either. He hit that ball pretty well. But right out in there is where the problems are.
Two down, and here is Mark Teixeira. Teixeira will turn 30 a week from today. Fastball up and away. 1 ball, no strikes. He had 39 homers last year to tie for the league lead in that category, and led the league in RBIs with 122. Not a bad first year coming to the big city. And at first base, handled cleanly by Youkilis. And that is a strong first inning, a 7-pitch inning for Josh Beckett. Now CC Sabathia to take the hill. Ellsbury, Pedroia, Victor Martinez. The Red Sox are coming up. Some think maybe he's already established himself as the best manager in Red Sox history. Well, why not? He won 2 World Series in his first 6 years. His batting order is turned in for the Red Sox here on opening night. Jacoby Ellsbury in left field. Dustin Pedroia, second base. Victor Martinez, the catcher. Kevin Youkilis hitting cleanup at first base. David Ortiz, as usual, a key man for the Red Sox, but they need him big time this year. He's had a couple of down seasons by his standards. Adrian Beltre, acquired in the offseason, former Mariner. Third base. J.D. Drew hits 7th in right field. Mike Cameron, another acquisition. He's won several Gold Gloves in center field, hitting 8th. And Marco Scutaro, former Blue Jay, is the new shortstop.
And, John, they need David Ortiz to come up with his late-inning heroics as he did in the past. He had 28 home runs and 99 RBIs. Those are good numbers, but he did not have the walk-offs and the late inning drives that he became known for here in Boston.
So here is CC Sabathia. And a fastball in there for a called strike. And Joe, you and I did CC's first game as a Yankee, opening day at Camden Yards in Baltimore last year, and it did not turn out well for CC. And he didn't have much success in the month of April at all against anybody. Into left center, and there is the new Yankee center fielder, Granderson, one away.
Well, John, you talk about CC Sabathia on the mound, the Yankee ace. He's the guy that was the horse that carried him last year. 3-1 in the playoffs, has averaged over 260 innings over the last 3 years. And he carries them not only on the mound, but emotionally as a great teammate and a team leader. But CC is not a friend of April. 2-6 over the last 2 years in April.
Now here is Dustin Pedroia, MVP winner in the American League the year before last. And a fastball is in there for a called strike at 93 miles an hour.
John, people may not realize what we're watching. This is Koufax and Marichal. These are two of the top pitchers in their era going against each other tonight on opening night here in Boston. Very special.
And a ball outside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Pedroia. CC won 19 games last year, and you talk about leading the club to the World Series and leading them especially in October and into November last year. On the road, he was quite a leader. Of his 19 wins, 12 of them came on the road, which is rather extraordinary. No Yankee pitcher had won that many games on the road in a season since Louisiana Lightning. Ron Guidry in his fabled 78 season, he was 25-3. He won 13 games on the road that year, 32 years ago.
It takes another level of mental discipline and toughness to win on the road. Not everything goes your way, and especially the fan noise.
1-2 the count to Pedroia. He struck him out on the high fastball up out of the strike zone.
Well, one of the things Pedroia said this year is he's going to hit 20 home runs. And I think that you're going to be more susceptible to the high fastball if you're going for home runs. And Sabathia kept the ball down. Now he goes up with a high fastball, and he just can't catch up with it. And that's the big swing that we've come to know from Pedroia, but he can't catch up with that high fastball.
Last year was the year after his MVP year, and pitchers started to pitch him a little tougher. I know as a pitcher, when a guy with a reputation finally comes up there, you work more the corners and the edges, and you bear down, and that could be the difference in the 20-point drop in his average from last year to the year before.
2 down. Here is Victor Martinez. His first opening day with the Red Sox, or as the case is tonight, opening night. Victor Martinez had been with the Cleveland Indians, was acquired just at the trading deadline at the end of July. And one of the best hitting catchers in the game. Switch hitter, batting right-handed. And a curveball off the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Just getting started here at Fenway on a beautiful, unseasonably warm evening in Boston. 67 degrees, the game time temperature, almost no wind at all blowing. Temperatures got into the mid-70s. Although you see on the roof there of the press box, there's some wind showing up there. 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Like a little slide piece.
The one thing about Sabathia, he has all the pitches. Change-ups, cutter, slider, and a great fastball. He also has a curveball that he'll throw occasionally. So he has all the pitches to keep you off balance.
2 down, nobody out. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Victor Martinez. Kevin Youkilis is on deck. He would be next. Jorge Posada, the battery mate for CC Sabathia. And a foul off the right field line. And back out of play.
You know, with Victor Martinez at the plate, a lot of people say that they're going to miss Jason Bay's offense. But remember, you're going to have Victor Martinez for a full year now, and that offense can get replaced. But the 36 home runs and 119 RBIs that Tito Francona will not have with Jason Bay. You need Big Papi even there behind him to support the manager, because those RBIs are key now when they are looking at pitching and defense, this Red Sox team.
1-2 the count, and the slider is low. Now, when you look at this matchup, and you look at the numbers between these two guys, there are no numbers. This is the first time in a regular season game that Victor Martinez has ever batted against Sabathia. He used to be his catcher. They were teammates in Cleveland.
And one thing about, I've talked to both of them, they both loved Cleveland. And it was a great place for them to start their careers.
2-2 the count. And he came after Martinez with that high fastball, much the same way he had come after Pedroia with the high hard one, but Martinez is able to fight it off. So who's got the advantage when you got the catcher against the pitcher?
It's an interesting cat and mouse game, John, because you go, I know that he knows that I know that he knows that I know, and then you go, okay, but I still got to execute it. And right there, CeCe went up the ladder on him. But right now, they've shooken off in this count. You know, let's repeat the high fastball. Let's break them ball in the dirt. So they're into picking up the ball and trying to hit it.
This will be the 7th pitch to the bat. Looked like he was still shaking him off there. Posada, who is Sabathia's current battery mate, trying to help Sabathia get out Sabathia's old battery mate. 2-2 the count. 2 down, nobody on in the first. A roller hits the bag, but a friendly hop for Teixeira. Martinez retired. Sabathia wins the battle. And we're headed to the second. Alex Rodriguez about to make his 2010 batting debut against Beckett. Night from Fenway Park. The Yankees come up in the second against Josh Beckett with Alex Rodriguez. And a fastball at 94 miles an hour. 1 ball and no strikes. A-Rod with 583 career home runs. And the first time he batted last year, he hit a home run right away.
And John, 7 of his first 10 hits last year were home runs, which was amazing. But, you know, the number that jumps out at me more than even the 583, John, he's the only player in the history of the game to have 30 or more home runs, 100 or more RBIs 13 times. All the great hitters that ever played, he's the only one that has done that 13 times.
2-0. On the inside corner, this is Joe West.
And as good as he is, I mean, he's got 2,531 hits starting this season. So, I mean, he has a chance to get 3,000 hits. He's got 1,706 RBIs. He has a chance outside chance, I guess, to pass Hank Aaron for the all-time lead. So, just a fabulous career.
Beckett. Fastball to the dirt. Scooped out by Youkilis. A-Rod retired, 1 away.
Josh Beckett does a nice job on this ball, positioning his feet and getting ready for the throw to first while the ball is still in the air. Watch him get ready. As he gets under it, he starts to turn and get his back foot ready, and then he cuts the ball loose. You see a lot of young pitchers that kind of decel their arm, throw it over the first baseman's head, but he guns it over there and does a good job, and it always helps when you have a Gold Glover at first helping you out.
Definitely, and Youkilis is one of the better first basemen in baseball, and we also have Mark Teixeira, who was one of the Gold Glove winners. So great defense at first base on both teams.
Now Robinson Cano, 27-year-old second baseman. He had 204 hits last year. 4 years in the big leagues. And a foul off the left field line. Now, one of the differences between the Yankees lineup this year and last year, without the veterans Johnny Damon, Hideki Matsui, here is Cano hitting 5th. Often he was the 7th or 8th place hitter for the Yankees in last year's lineup.
And for good reason, because he didn't hit well with runners in scoring position. But in talking to Joe Girardi, and the reason he put him behind A-Rod is he's too good a hitter not to be able to drive in runs in these situations, in clutch situations.
There's Cameron. 2 men gone, 5 in a row, retired by Beckett. Let's get an update now from Steve Berthiaume in the studio. All right, thanks, Steve. What happened to Jason Campbell?
That's what I want to know, but I'm a big Donovan McNabb fan as well. Man, he had a lot of weapons in Philadelphia. I don't know if he's going to have those same weapons in Washington.
So here is Jorge Posada. Posada starting his 16th year with the Yankees. Posada Jeter and Mariano Rivera have been teammates now. This is their 16th season, and all three of them have been together 16th season in a row. Well, they've all been together with the Yankees, and that is not only a baseball record, major league record for longevity with one team by three teammates. There's never been a threesome that's been together that long in the NFL, the NBA, or the NHL, for that matter, and the first time in Major League Baseball.
Well, they're three special guys. I mean, look how they're all superstar players, and you have to be pretty much superstar to stay with one team for 16 years anyway.
Posada been one of the most reliable hitting catchers in the game. I asked him about his first opening day, if he could remember it, and he said, well, 96 is the first time he was on the club for opening day, but he didn't play. Joe Girardi caught that game. I said, okay, how about 97? No. Well, when? He said, I think 99. That's deep down the right field line toward Pesky's pole, and hits the foul pole. Goodbye. The first run of 2010. A home run by Jorge Posada. A screamer. It's only 302 feet to Johnny Pesky's foul pole down there. And he hit the screen, fastened to the pole. 1-0 Yankees.
Beckett trying to get the ball up and in. That fastball just didn't make it in there. Posada beat him to the spot. You see Martinez target. The ball creeps over the middle of the plate, and he gets him.
Well, it's such a good swing. I mean, and he pulls it right down the line. A lot of places that's not a home run. But here, what is it, 280 down the line?
302.
302. I mean, that's very short.
Although if you hit it 10 feet off the line, figure you got to hit about 380 feet to get it out. And it's about the deepest spot to right field in any ballpark. But if you hit it right down the line, that's what they used to joke with Johnny Pesky, that he had so little power that the only time he ever hit a home run, he wrapped it around that foul pole, only 302 feet.
Then they call it Pesky's pole?
Well, they still do. That's why I called it that.
Oh.
2-1 the count to Curtis Granderson, making his Yankees debut as a hitter. There you see how the fence, instead of cutting across towards center field, heads out to downtown for a while. Another 70, 80 feet or so before it then begins its cut across.
Well, this is a good look. Watch how he gets his hands out front. He does all the damage with his hands. Not much of a lower body turn, but he uses his hands to get the barrel of the bat out front.
2-2 to Granderson.
You were talking about the distance being so important, because 302 with the barrel coming through like that, it had a chance to hook foul if the fence is farther.
But watch how he uses his hands here. Look at that. That's more of a hand swing. And remember, we've talked about this actually in our spring training game, taking that top hand off the bat. Well, he didn't take it off. That allows you to extend on through and not hook the ball down the line.
Posada with his fourth opening day home run and the 244th home run of his big league career. That ball is hit well, deep to right center field, toward the Red Sox bullpen, and beyond, into the bleacher. A spectacular home run, and that is how Curtis Granderson welcomes himself to his new ball club, the Yankees.
And that's what they got him for, John, his long ball potential and the speed in center field and on the base pass. I mean, he hit 30 home runs last year in a tougher hitting ballpark, Detroit, than he will have, with playing in Yankee Stadium. But this ballpark, it wouldn't matter. The way he hits this ball, it doesn't matter where this ballpark is.
That ball was over the Red Sox bullpen to the right of the 420 marker, the deepest part of Fenway Park, and well up into the bleachers. Maybe 430, 440 for that home run. Now Nick Swisher hitting 8th in the order, and he takes a called strike. So Curtis Granderson with 30 home runs as a Tiger last year. He's now a Yankee and one of the big offseason acquisitions for maybe the biggest. And that's a base hit to right field for Swisher. 3 straight 2-out hits for the Yankees against Beckett.
Well, Granderson gets a fastball. This one's down a little bit more than the one to Posada. You see the target blowing away. It's down, but he catches the middle of the plate, and he puts a charge into it. I mean, this is a long home run. That's truly a big fly there, John.
Man, this ball is smoked, and I think Josh Beckett is getting lulled into sleep thinking that his fastball is better than it is. And you come out of spring training, you get in the triple-decker stadiums, you're Fenway Park, open against the Yankees. You have a tendency to think that everything is bulletproof, the adrenaline is running through your arm, and you're like, man, I can just throw it right by these guys. And that ball's straightening out and coming over the middle of the plate on him, and it can really fool you because you've got all that adrenaline of opening day running through your body.
I thought the best pitch he threw in the ball game was the first pitch fastball to Alex Rodriguez in his first pitch this inning, and it had some giddy up on it, and it was on the inner half toward the inside part of the plate.
This is Brett Gardner, who opens the season as the Yankees left fielder. Gardner had been primarily a center fielder in the past, and there was some thought to him staying in center and Curtis Granderson moving to left field, but finally late in the spring, in fact just a few days ago, manager Joe Girardi said no, Granderson, he's the center fielder, Gardner in left. Gardner said he played some left field here at Fenway the year before last. It'll be interesting to see if he has any misadventures in left field tonight, because this can be a tricky left field to play.
But I don't think there really was any mystery there, because Granderson is a guy that plays every day. So you want him in center in one position. You know, Gardner's going to play off and on. He's not going to play a lot of times against left-handed pitching. So you would be switching, you know, Granderson to left field and back because he's going, you know, on a daily basis.
Curtis Granderson, who just hit his 103rd Major League home run. He had hit 22 in one season, 23 in a season, and then 30 last year with Detroit. That's a liner to left field in front of Ellsbury, base hit. He thought about maybe trying for a catch in that one, and then finally backed up to get a true hop. 4 straight hits after 2 were down. And the Yankees here in the second inning. Yankees, the last time they saw Josh Beckett, August of last year, hit 5 home runs against him. Jeter, and then Matsui hit a couple. Cano hit one. A-Rod hit one. This is Matsui. He hit it much deeper to right field than did Posada. When Jeter hit that home run last year, that was also a milestone hit. His 2,700 career hit. He hit 5 home runs in 5 innings against Beckett. 1 ball and no strikes. Beckett, his first year with the Red Sox, 2006, or you mentioned how he came to the Sox that year. That year he gave up 36 home runs.
Well, he came here kind of as a reputation of a fragile pitcher that needed to learn how to pitch, a thrower, under the tutelage of Jason Varitek and Kurt Schilling at the time. They were hoping that they would groom him into an ace, and they have done that. Just having a rough one here so far tonight.
Facing Jeter, who hit the first pitch of the season and was thrown out after his ground ball by the Red Sox shortstop. 2-0 Yankees. Beckett got A-Rod on a one-hopper back to Beckett. Cano on a fly ball to center. Posada homer, Granderson homer, Swisher singled, Gardner has singled, and he's about to deliver his 26th pitch of this suddenly arduous inning. The 7th hitter of the inning is Jeter. In the inside corner, strike 2. A big crowd here at Fenway, and it'll be the 551st consecutive sellout for the Red Sox here at Fenway Park. Derek Jeter, who hit .334 last year with 2 men on and 2 men out. Curveball, too low. Is that pretty good eye, Joe? And when you see a guy taking a 2-strike curveball?
Well, that one was rolling. It wasn't a real sharp breaker, so he could see it out in front. He could see it was going to be a ball. I don't know if a curveball is a good pitch to throw Jeter with 2 strikes unless you have a real good one. If you roll it up there, he's going to line it to right field, and that one was not a good curveball from Beckett. So you don't have to worry about making that decision late.
Martinez to the outside. Fastball, and Jeter leans out over the plate to fight that one off.
So you're better off with a pitch like that to Jeter because he's going that way and make him reach a little bit. But if you throw him something off speed, I mean, he can usually handle it pretty well. But like Oral will tell you, a great curveball they're not going to hit.
It comes out of the window, that fastball, and it breaks so late. You get it, you swing and the miss. But what Derek Jeter is doing right here is he's driving Josh Beckett crazy. He's having a rough inning, and now you've got a really tough battler at the plate.
2 men on, 2 men out, 2 runs in. To shortstop, Scudero. Got a tough hop and just got the out at second. The speedy Gardner really hustled, and Pedroia was there to take the throw just in time. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Yankees. Youkilis, and then Big Papi coming up against Sabathia. Fenway Park. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser, the 21st season of Major League Baseball on ESPN. Here is CC Sabathia now with a 2-0 lead to Kevin Youkilis, and that is too low for ball 1. And Youkilis has turned himself into one of the top hitters in the American League, and with power for batting average, and also still a guy who will battle a pitcher and get a lot of walks. A .413 on base average last year, second best in the league. Sabathia at the knees on the outer half on a called strike. Youkilis was 5th in the league in slugging percentage, and he is the Red Sox cleanup hitter in a lineup that looks a lot thinner than it did just 2-3 years ago. Fastball high and tight, and it's 2-1. They say the Red Sox now are hoping that they have enough offense, especially because the master plan is to prevent runs with the addition of John Lackey to the rotation to make that rotation that much tougher. A strong bullpen and better defense.
You're not reinventing the wheel saying pitching and defense wins. Maybe you're re-falling in love with it again, but you're so used to having the Manny Ramirez Ortiz center of the lineup that bopped so much. Maybe a shift in gears.
Well, they have definitely put the focus on pitching and defense, but guess what? You can't win a nothing game either. You have to score runs. So over the course of the season, I think Theo Epstein and these guys have taken a chance on being able to score enough runs to support the pitching.
3-1 the count. Left center field toward the wall. Off the out-of-town scoreboard. Granderson to second. Not in time. A double for Youkilis.
John, I want to show you something with Youkilis. He keeps his top hand up on top. We're going to show you that in between this. But here's the pitch. It's a fastball. Now watch his right hand. See how it's up on top? The reason he has it down there and he slides it down is because he doesn't want to grip the bat too tightly. Right there, and he slides it down. He doesn't want to grip the bat tight with his right hand, so when he slides it down, he can get some hand action with his swing.
Now here is David Ortiz. Ortiz did not hit well against left-handed pitching, Sabathia or otherwise, last year. Big Papi hit only .212 against lefties, and only 6 home runs in 165 at-bats against lefties. And at his best, when he was one of the most feared sluggers in the league, lefties feared him just as much as righties for the most part. However, there is one other addendum to that story about his misery against lefties last year. The first time he faced Sabathia at Fenway, he hit a home run against him. A little bit late on that high fastball, and he tried to check his swing. 1-1.
David not picking on the easiest pitcher. CC Sabathia's lefties hit 198 off him last year, and David worked very, very hard last year to come out of that slump, and he had a home run off of CC that really triggered him coming out of that slump, and he took a fastball over the left center wall here at Fenway.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. Youkilis at second, and it's too low. 2-1. The Yankees have the big shift on. The runner at second, not the overshift. Jeter is almost right up the middle, and Cano is out there in shallow right field, maybe 15 to 18 feet into the outfield grass. And A-Rod's got to stay in the neighborhood of third base with that runner at second. 2-1 the count. Ball 3. Adrian Beltre awaiting his first trip to the plate as a member of the Red Sox. He's on deck. Another one of the big acquisitions for the Red Sox in the offseason. Beltre and Cameron, who are both guys with power, but also outstanding defensive players. That's the hitter's count there. 3-1. He got the fastball, fouled it back.
Yeah, but that was in perfect spot for David Ortiz. Fastball in on the hands, and that's where they try to pitch him. Now watch where this pitch is. It ties him up inside a little bit. It's supposed to be low and away, but you can see where it is. It ties him up on the inner half of the plate, and he was late getting there. Most of the teams try to pitch David up and in.
3-2. And a productive out. Teixeira with the unassisted put out as Youkilis moves over to third base. Beltre coming up. Opening day baseball presented by Dick's Sporting Goods is on ESPN and ESPN2 tomorrow. First at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Tony La Russa's Cardinals with Albert Pujols up against the Cincinnati Reds. And then at 2 Eastern on ESPN2, Cleveland and Ozzie Guillen's Chicago White Sox. And at 4 Eastern on ESPN, Cubs, Braves. All 3 games are also available on ESPN3.com. Infield stays back for Adrian Beltre. Fastball in there for a strike. By the way, we have more games tomorrow on opening day presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. We'll have Tim Lincecum and the Giants up against Roy Oswalt and the Astros at 7 Eastern. Then at 10 Eastern, the Minnesota Twins will take on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So it's at 5 games tomorrow on ESPN and ESPN2.
I think I'll go see Lincecum and Oswalt. I think that's the one I'd like to see.
Well, let's
tomorrow.
go do that one.
Yeah,
although
let's go do that one.
Oral seems to favor Bobby Cox.
All right,
I'm going to go see Bobby, and I'm going to go see Lou Piniella.
All right.
And I'm also going to take a 5:45 in the morning flight.
Center field. Granderson going back. Still going back. At the wall. He jumps and he's got it. Youkilis tags. He'll score. So Beltre in his new home ballpark hit what would have just been a routine fly ball at his old park in Seattle, Safeco Field, that almost reached the wall, which is 390 feet away in dead center here at Fenway.
Granderson didn't get a great jump on that ball. He actually took the step in, but then his speed allows him to get back there. Now watch Granderson here. His speed will allow him to get back. See right there, he's not moving back yet. He steps in now, but that's the speed that he has that allows him to get back there. And the ball being high as it was allowed him to get back and make the play.
So I'm thinking, although the flag out there in center field hangs limply as if there's no wind at all, the flag's up above the press box. A little further up, there's some wind that may be giving that ball a push. This is J.D. Drew, and that's a swing, says Joe West. Strike 2. 2 down. The Red Sox, they don't have Jason Bay, who hit 36 home runs last year. Manny Ramirez is part of their history. And what do we have? A double and then 2 productive outs to get a run. And that's too low to J.D. Drew. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I really think that Beltre is going to be one of the keys. We know David Ortiz is the key. But one of the other keys for me is going to be Beltre. I think that he hit 48 home runs for the Dodgers, so he's capable of hitting home runs. So I think he's going to be the guy that benefits the most for this in the trade that allowed him to come here for the free agency.
That is foul down the right field line. Off-speed delivery from Sabathia, pulled foul. There's Adrian Beltre. You know, the year you're talking about, 2004, he had one of the greatest years any third baseman has ever had. He was Schmidt-like. 48 home runs and 121 RBIs. That's the only year he's ever had like that. He hit 334. That curve is bounced foul. Otherwise, he went to Seattle, and for 5 years there, he averaged 21 homers, 79 RBIs, which would have been all too familiar to Dodger fans with all of his years up until he had the 48 home run year.
But you have to remember, Seattle, as you said, is a big, big ballpark. A lot bigger than Fenway Park and a lot bigger than Dodger Stadium.
1-2. Inside with a fastball.
I think he was in there with Kevin Youkilis, being consoled, saying, hit that anywhere else other than there, and you're fine. You are away from Safeco, big guy. This is a little more hitter-friendly. Don't worry.
And especially in the daytime, that ball still may go.
2-2 the count. Youkilis in the foreground. Beltre chatting with him. 2-2 the count. And the big breaking ball down and away. Full count.
I always like to see teammates talking like that, especially two right-handed hitters talking about how he pitched them, and that helps you your next at bat. And Beltre learn it, trying to pass along what he knows about Sabathia, and Youkilis doing the same thing.
Mike Cameron would be next. Strike three call to the outside corner. And Drew seemed to know it. He just turned around and headed back to the dugout. 1 run for the Sox. 2-1 Yankees. Johnson, Teixeira, A-Rod coming up.
Pizza Hut. Get any pizza, any size, any crust, and any toppings for one incredible price.
And that's the Old North Church located in Boston's North End. Part of the history of this area and of this nation. On April 18, 1775, 2 lanterns hung from its steeple, a signal to Paul Revere that British soldiers were heading their way, not by land, but by sea. And that began the fateful ride of Paul Revere, riding through the streets, alerting his countrymen. And events that eventually began the Revolutionary War. The Old North Church. There is ball 1 to Nick Johnson with Mark Teixeira on deck. And then Alex Rodriguez due up third in the inning. 2-1. The Yankees are leading. Josh Beckett trying to settle back in now after getting roughed up there in the second inning. Consecutive home runs by Jorge Posada and Curtis Granderson. By the way, Curtis Granderson in his first at bat as a Yankee hits a home run, and you might think, wow, that is pretty cool to go to the Yankees and the first time you ever bat for him, you hit a home run. Who's done that? Mantle, Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio. The last guy to do it, Cody Ransom. In April of last year.
Very nice tease, John.
Also in 1966, a guy to do it, his first at bat as a Yankee, hit a home run, John Miller. You didn't even know I played for the Yankees, did you? Back in 1966. I didn't even know they had a guy named John Miller played for the Yankees in 66. It was not a very good year for the Yankees either. Curtis Granderson, his first at bat as a Yankee. And not just a home run, but a big fly way up into the bleachers.
That's better than getting off to a poor start, going 0 for 10, looking for your first hit.
Just a little bit low. Here's another name for you. Maybe you'll recognize this one, though. Guy who hit a home run in his first at bat for the Yankees, Greg Nettles. He was a great Yankee. Helped them win consecutive World Series in the 70s, 77 and 78. That's ball 4 to Nick Johnson, and get used to it. He's going to get a lot of those.
And he took a 2-2 pitch that was very close. Normally you swing at that pitch, but he has such a discerning eye. He knew it was a ball, and he took it low.
He is an on-base machine. Walks and singles. He can grind out some at-bats.
One ball and no strikes to Mark Teixeira. Well, in this game, Josh Beckett got the first 5 hitters in a row, from Jeter right through Teixeira, A-Rod, and Cano. Since then, he's faced 6 more hitters, and 5 of them have reached against him. Teixeira grounded out his first time. And that is going to go out of play.
Well, we see him missing his spots a lot. We showed you he missed his spots on the 2 home runs. But just watching him, he's missing his spots a lot. And Oral, I've said this a lot of times. Even though a pitcher misses his spot, doesn't mean it's going to be hit out of the ballpark. You have to give the hitter credit for hitting it, even if they miss their spot. But he's missing his spots a lot. That was supposed to be a fastball down and away, and it was fastball up and in.
0-2. And fastball missed. Up and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, early in the game, he was missing by width, and now he's starting to miss by height. That's puzzling because as you start to work into the game and you start to find yourself in your rhythm, usually your misses start to get tighter, but his are getting wider.
1-2 the count. 2-2. He missed badly again. 95 miles an hour, but not anywhere to tempt Mark Teixeira to go after. With Alex Rodriguez on deck. These are the hitters in the Yankee lineup that can be very unforgiving. If you're not real sharp, you're going to get hurt, most likely. A couple of the greatest sluggers in the game today, Mark Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez. Curveball. That's too low.
I'll tell you what, that was a good curveball, though.
It was a good curveball, and he got his arm out front right there. You know what I'd love to see him do is take a little bigger leg kick when Nick Johnson's on first base. That curveball's got nice bite, and like you said, Joe, it comes out on a fastball window, and then it's got the bite at the end. But when you're having trouble throwing strikes, you can throw that master curveball, and you're not going to get somebody to bite. You've got to say you're in the strike zone, then you get them to nibble.
3-2. And a high pop fly. Pedroia out, Drew in. It's Drew. And that is one away. Let's take a look at who was a cut above the rest in 2009, brought to you by John Deere. And we're focusing primarily on Alex Rodriguez in the postseason in 2009. It was 15 games last October into November. He hit .365 with 6 homers and 18 runs batted in. And he wasn't just hitting big flies in the second, third, fourth inning of games. He was hitting them in the 9th inning, the 11th inning, keeping the Yankees alive in games that looked all but lost. He may well not have even gotten to the World Series without 2 or 3 of the home runs he hit last year. This could be 2. Scudero to second, Pedroia to first, and the inning is over. Last of the third coming up. Mike Cameron will make his Red Sox hitting debut against Sabathia. By DirecTV, get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. And that's the view from up there. Historic Fenway Park, the 99th opener. First time it's ever been a night game at Fenway Park. And some people here were unhappy that that tradition goes by the boards, at least for this 1 year.
Well, we did the same thing. We did the first night game in opening day for Cincinnati. That's years ago. That's when that first started. That ESPN had the first game of the year on a Sunday night, with everybody else waiting till the next day to open. And they weren't happy. But I remember saying to Marge Schott, who owned the club at that time, because she said she was very unhappy, that I thought we'd given her a gift as Mike Cameron takes ball 2-0 the count. We had opening night, and then the next day she still had her traditional daytime home opener with the parade. We're giving her an extra sellout. She didn't buy it, did she? The Red Sox, of course, they're going to sell out anytime they play the Yankees. It doesn't matter about having them here for an opening day. And that's a called strike to Cameron. It's 2-1. But the Red Sox still can have an opening day. There's nothing preventing them from playing game 2 in the afternoon, making that opening day. John Henry, the principal owner of the Red Sox. I had a chance to talk to him on the field before the game, and he was as shocked as I am about how good the weather is here today. You know, it was great weather here in Boston, and obviously a great night for a baseball game. Now, somebody may look it up and prove us all wrong, but nobody could ever remember a Red Sox home opener played with weather this perfect. 67 degrees at game time after 8 o'clock. And there's ball 4. Mike Cameron, never known as a particularly patient, high on base kind of a guy, but in his Red Sox debut, he coaxes a walk from CC Sabathia.
Now time to look at some of the new faces in new places, brought to you by Denny's. And for the Red Sox, new faces here, we've seen Beltre, now we've seen Cameron, also Bill Hall, who spent several years with the Brewers, is here. Jeremy Hermida of the Marlins, now a Red Sox. John Lackey, the former ace of the Angels, now a Red Sox. And Marco Scutaro, who became one of the top shortstops in the league in the last couple of years. There's a called strike to Marco Scutaro.
It was interesting. John Lackey had to spend spring training becoming friends with the Red Sox teammates because they did not like him when he pitched for the Angels, and obviously he didn't like the Red Sox. So he had to mend a few fences because he had pitched a few guys inside, maybe plunked one here and there. So he spent spring training telling them, I'm a Red Sox now.
Now Scutaro
bought into it.
Scutaro did not have that.
No, he didn't have that problem.
Everybody seems to like Scutaro just fine. And that is right there. Change up at the knees for a called strike 2. There's John Lackey. He'll go in game 3. He's talking to Mike Lowell, and surely Lowell did not like him in the past. They seem to be very close.
One thing I noticed tonight, John, in the introductions, Mike Lowell got the biggest ovation of all the guys who were not starting. I mean, they really showed him their appreciation for him helping them win a World Series and being such a good guy here in the community.
And a foul out of play. Well, it looked like they had him traded to Texas in the winter, and then it was determined that he had a bad thumb that needed to be repaired. And so the Rangers said no way.
Well, they watched him all spring to see if he was going to be healthy. He was healthy, did pretty well, but then the Rangers picked up Ryan Garco on waivers, and that kind of sealed the deal that they weren't after Mike Lowell anymore.
Garco got cut loose by the Mariners. And a move to first, back to the bag is Cameron. Cameron is 37 years old, but he still runs well.
You know, John, it's really interesting that I never faced Joe, so I didn't have any problem coming into the booth as a teammate here. If I would have played in his generation, and you know, I missed it by a long time, I would have, you know, maybe if I'd have plugged him a few times, we'd have a little chemistry problem up here. But we've been to the NBA game today. We did a few things together.
Right.
That's caught by A-Rod. Back over to first, and it's a double play. Cameron not able to get back in time, and he begs to differ with Angel Hernandez. But that is a double play.
Well, the ball wasn't hit that hard. I thought Cameron would have time to get back, but he strayed too far off first base, and A-Rod was able to get it to throw over there quickly because it wasn't a shot. It's not like a real hard line drive. You'll see A-Rod has to move. He takes 3 steps to get it, throws to first. Let's see there. Cameron may have a good argument that he was back safely. Kind of like some of the things we saw at the NBA game today, right?
By the way, I know you guys were over there. The Cleveland Cavaliers played the Celtics. ABC television had it. And you guys didn't need that, though, because you just went right over to the Garden.
I got the tickets. We need to get them in Joe's name next time. We're 11th row in my name. I think we go in Joe, a Hall of Famer. We're getting lower.
Yeah, we should.
Joe's like, where are our seats? Joe, they're right here. He goes, let me get them next time.
Ever since Joe drove in the winning run in the 9th inning of Game 7 in the World Series here at Fenway.
Oh, what year was that?
If it had been in Joe's name, you guys would have been probably just better off staying back to the hotel.
I don't have that. That was pre-VCR.
Joe Morgan. Oh, so Joe Morgan, eh? Yeah, we know where to put him. 2-1, the Yankees are leading. I'm John Miller with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and Oral
Hall of Famer.
And he didn't plunk me, so that's good. Well, actually, we didn't face each other.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
He remembered me getting ground balls off, but I was like, Joe, that must have been in Fantasy League.
Well, he may not have plunked you, but that doesn't mean he didn't drill you.
Well, the one thing, I always thought I hit a ground ball because the Dodgers were famous for getting ground balls. Their pitchers, him, Sutton.
How did they do that?
Those guys. Well,
how'd they get all those ground balls?
Well, there are 2 outs, so we shouldn't start that story because it takes a while to go through their history there.
3-1 the count. And strike 2 to Jacoby Ellsbury, the leadoff man, the igniter at the top of the order.
How does CC look? I mean, I think he looks good. I think he looks good, but a lot better than he did last year when he started, opening day.
I think staying strong on his back leg. I think he's driving the ball downhill. He seems to have a tighter pattern than Beckett, that's for sure.
A-Rod. That was very speedy, but easily out at first. And the inning is over. Easter Sunday, 2010, from Fenway Park. On to the fourth inning. Cano, then Posada coming up. 2-1 Yankees. Every day is a big day in sports in Boston. And LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers played the Boston Celtics earlier today. Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser checked that out. And now LeBron James and that's the musician, Dr. Dre. They're checking out Fenway Park. Celtics won that game over LeBron James' Cleveland Cavaliers 117-113 despite LeBron's 42 points.
Had a chance to meet Dr. Dre on the field today. Seems like a very, very nice guy.
Left field. Going back. Ellsbury at the wall. Jumps. No. Cano will stop at second base. Ellsbury has been a couple of years at least since he last played left field here at Fenway. And he was out earlier before batting practice fielding fungos that were hit off the wall and high fly balls and that sort of thing.
Well, John, I think you might be right about the wind because it kept blowing this ball away from him. When I first saw him start off, I thought he just had to go straight back and get it, but the ball kept slicing away, and I think the wind helped push it away, and you see he couldn't get back there in time to leap straight up, and it barely clears his glove, and Cano has a double.
And that is the first double of this season for Robinson Cano, who hit 48 doubles last year, tied for third in the American League. And here is Posada, who hit a home run off the right field foul pole for the first run of 2010. And there's that situational hitting for the Yankees. And over the third goes Cano. So Posada gets it done. Home run the last time with nobody on base, and now he gets that runner over to third this time.
Well, this is the situations that we're going to find out about Granderson, in the Yankees, because, he strikes out a lot, and this is one of those situations where you have to put the ball in play.
Got to be the RBI man.
On a championship team, you have to be able to put the ball in play here.
And you saw somebody here at Fenway keeping their own scorebook. You may see that more at Fenway and Yankee Stadium than most ballparks nowadays. It's the best way to really enjoy the game. Keep your own scorebook so you always are up to date on what the guy's done his other at-bats and how the whole game has gone. Curtis Granderson, who hit a home run in his first at-bat as a Yankee. Now he's trying to get that runner home from third. The infield is in except for the shortstop. And that is a ground ball to the drawn-in Youkilis, and holding at third is Cano. Well, he put it in play, but it was not very effective.
Yeah, and you want to work the middle of the field. If you're Curtis Granderson there, Josh Beckett does a good job. He started him off with a curveball, and then he got him to ground out with the curveball, which made him pull the ball and roll over it. As a hitter, you're trying to work the middle of the field, a lot easier for the runner on third to break. And then that curveball gets him out front. He did not do a good job. And the home run helps, but you've got to pick up the ones that are the freebies, too.
And I was talking about the fact last year he struck out 141 times. So, you have to concentrate and put the ball in play in those situations.
Swisher, a high foul out of play. There's not much room in foul territory at Fenway Park, especially behind third base there. Those fans, I'm sure, often feel like they're right in the game. Even down the right field line, the fans get right on top of the foul line. You see there's that row of seats that comes out right behind third base.
That's one of the things for me that makes this an offensive park. That foul ball's just a strike, not an out.
The fastball had some movement coming back to the plate, but off the inside nonetheless. And it is 1-1.
I'm sure you've noticed, but all the ballparks that have a lot of room are all in California, where the real estate used to be real high, but I guess it's a little cheaper now.
It feels like to me the newer parks, we're getting the fans closer and closer, which is great for the fans, but it's a different game. It's like arena ball compared to the true baseball with all the foul territory.
That's a pitcher talking. Well, real baseball.
A foul ball in the first 6 to 10 rows used to be an out, but now it's just a strike. So you can add a third of an inning to the game.
It didn't used to be an out at Fenway Park.
No, not at Fenway Park. I apologize for being enthusiastic about all the other new parks.
Not that much foul territory at Wrigley Field.
right?
Okay, you've got 2.
Well, go to California. You got
now, John, there's some other.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Dodger Stadium.
Right.
They brought the stands in at Dodger Stadium.
Oakland.
A's.
The Giants.
Cleveland's old stadium to the new stadium.
There was so much foul territory at Dodger Stadium. They've changed it a little bit now.
Right.
But in the old days, it was almost like they really didn't want to spend that much money on baseball. Foul balls never made it into the stands. They were so far away at the old Dodger Stadium. 3-1 the count. The high hard one right by Nick Swisher. 3-2 with a runner at third and 2 down here in the fourth. The Yankees ahead 2-1.
Now, since Josh Beckett has started to mix his curveball and actually throw some quality curveballs for strikes, he gets the rollover ground out for Granderson. Now he gets to sneak a fastball by Swisher, but it's all because he's now mixing his pitches. Maybe the adrenaline's calmed down. It's not all about fastball, but actually pitching the ball game.
He curved him with Brett Gardner coming up. And apparently he wasn't that worried about walking him.
Well, it was a good curveball, but it may have been away. But it was a pretty good break on the curveball.
Well, with left-handed hitter, you know, Joe, that ball out of your hand as a pitcher, you read it as a ball. So on a 3-2 curveball to a left-handed hitter from a right-handed pitcher, you want the ball to come out of your hand more to the middle of the plate to really stimulate the bat. But if you're going to throw that, you've got to make sure you get a strike, because out of your hand, he reads ball.
K-Zone, brought to you by MLB 10, the show.
Well, Swisher, like Nick Johnson, is a very patient hitter at the plate. Also, he gets a lot of walks.
Almost 100 walks last year. Here is Brett Gardner, who singled his first time. Runners at first and third, 2 down. Josh Beckett having a difficult time of it here after a leadoff double by Cano. Now 2-out walk to Swisher. And a fastball for a called strike. Now, how can that happen? Aren't you looking for a fastball in the first pitch?
That was a quality fastball, John. It was on the inner half of the plate. I was thinking the same thing. You look fastball, but Gardner obviously likes the ball out over the plate because that was a fastball on the inner half of the plate.
Because most lefties like to drop that bat head down. That pitch down and in is the one
he's not a pull hitter, so he doesn't do that very often.
1 strike to count to Gardner. And too high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gardner actually last year hit better against left-handed pitching, which is a little bit against the grain for most left-handed hitters. Gardner trying to be the RBI man here. Yankees have a couple of veterans who could play left field. One especially who's a very good defensive player, formerly with the Giants, Randy Winn. And some with the Yankees think maybe Randy Winn will still end up getting a lot of at-bats this year.
Well, he's definitely a good player.
That's Randy in the background on the left. Also Marcus Thames back with the Yankees. He started his professional career in the Yankee organization. He's capable of playing left field. And that is too low. Well, he is being oh so careful here with Brett Gardner's falling behind him 3-1.
He's been very careful, but that fastball 2 pitches ago looked like a strike to me. It's very, very close. Joe West at times can get the strike zone of a postage stamp. I think he's a great veteran umpire. But as an ex-pitcher, Joe and I, we always saw eye to eye. We just didn't see the same thing.
3-1 the count. Runners at first and third. That is called a strike. Gardner thought maybe a little bit outside. And he talks to West about it. West starting his 32nd year as a major league umpire.
Actually, I talked to Joe West before the ball game today, and he wanted me to pass along a message to one of the umpires, which I'll do later on.
Cowboy Joe West, 3-2 the count. Swisher runs from first, and it's fouled.
I thought you were going to tell me that he's going to promote his new album or something. We usually always get the DVD from Joe.
Joe is a singer, country and western singer.
Yeah.
Well, a country singer. It's no longer a country and western. Yeah, it's just country.
There's no such thing as country and western?
Well, it's just country now.
You never told me that.
Well, Johnny Bench told me that. So he knows he knows about those things.
3-2 the count. 2 down. Runners at first and third. The runner at first, Swisher. He goes, and a foul back out of play. Derek Jeter, by the way, all through this long at bat by Gardner, is lurking on deck.
And John, this is one of those reasons people say that the Yankees hitters see a lot of pitches, and part of it is because they foul off pitches. They foul off 2-strike pitches. They make you waste a lot of pitches out there trying to get them out.
This will be the 8th pitch that Gardner has forced Beckett to throw. Swisher again. Takes off from first. That is a base hit into left center. Cano in to score. Back to second. Slide Swisher as Ellsbury threw in behind him. And quite an at-bat to cash in an RBI by young Brett Gardner. 3-1 Yankees.
Well, one of the theories is the longer you stand in the batter's box, the more pitches you see, the better you time the pitcher. He does a fabulous job here of just taking this ball inside out. Watch this, inside out, and just slaps it to left field over the shortstop's head. And that's what Gardner's going to do. That's his style of hitting. Just put the ball in play.
So Josh Beckett has now allowed 3 runs. He's thrown 68 pitches already in 3 2/3. Here is Derek Jeter, and he almost got hit by that one. And after the mound goes Victor Martinez.
Well, when you make a few mistakes in the middle of the plate and you're going to throw a pitch to Derek Jeter, who loves the ball out over the plate, and you know you need to get the ball in on him, you run it in there. And it's not, he wasn't trying to hit him. He's sending a little bit of a message to set up this at bat, and he doesn't want to make another mistake in the middle of the plate.
Derek Jeter, his first opening day game with the Yankees, 1996 in Cleveland. I asked him if he remembered. He said, "Oh yeah, I hit a home run against Dennis Martinez, El Presidente." Oral, you might have been there for that game.
Maybe. What year was that?
96.
Yep, I was.
Jeter up the middle and past Scutero, base hit. Heading home, Swisher. Gardner to third with all of his speed. And Derek Jeter comes through in the clutch. It is 4-1 Yankees.
Well, you have to give Gardner credit because he kept the inning alive for Jeter to come up. And obviously Jeter gets a 2-out base hit. I thought it was a breaking ball, but it is, and it doesn't break much. It stays down at the bottom of the zone. It's not really a sharp breaking ball. And Jeter just drops the barrel on it, rounds it up the middle for a base hit. And I still think that a lot of times in those situations, you're better off firing Jeter up inside and stay inside or go away, but he's a good off-speed hitter, especially in clutch situations.
Scott Schoenweiss up in the Boston bullpen. Veteran left-hander. Now, both fans of the Red Sox and Yankees have access to ESPN online with a local point of view. Boston fans have been enjoying ESPNBoston.com, and since Friday, fans in New York can get the same local treatment for all of their pro sports teams at ESPNNewYork.com, a special sports center for the fans in our nation's most popular city. Log on and check it out at ESPNNewYork.com. One strike to Nick Johnson. Now Johnson, who gets a lot of walks, and this is not so much a walk situation, although it could create a nice scenario for Mark Teixeira, who's on deck. But with 2 down, he's trying to knock in at least one of these runs. Gardner at third, Jeter at first. Off his foot. He hit a ball down off his knee on Thursday.
His right knee. Right here, I can understand why he's going to hit it off his foot, because with the man on first, he's very adept at rolling over and trying to use that hole with a man on first and take advantage of the hard ground ball through the right side to pick up that RBI.
Nick Johnson's mom is the sister of longtime major leaguer and now a coach for the Dodgers, Larry Bowa. Uncle Larry Bowa, Nick Johnson's uncle. And he says they often talk. That was fairly close at first base. Jeter diving back to the bag, clutching at the bag for dear life.
What was Larry Bowa's eye as far as passing that on to Nick Johnson?
No. I mean, Bowa was more of a hacker. Yeah, put the ball in play. Perfect situation for Jeter to go here 0-2 if he wants to.
He's going. And heading home is Gardner, and he scores. A double steal for the Yankees. 5-1 Yankees.
That's why you send Jeter. You got Gardner at third, Speed at third, and you let Jeter go. He stayed there to give Johnson a chance to pull it in the hole, but once he went to 0-2, you might as well just take off. And he did so, and I don't know why they threw the ball to second base.
It's interesting because Victor Martinez, catchers are taught to check the runner at third before they throw down to second. You give a glance, and you see Victor Martinez's head never checked Gardner at third at all. He was fixated on throwing the ball to second.
Even if he'd made a good throw to Scudero, who jumped out in front of the bag, Scudero would have had no chance to throw out. Gardner at the plate.
With an 0-2 count, you can throw to third. There's no reason to throw to second base on that play.
Backdoor curveball got him looking. And the inning at long last is over. A 3-run inning. And in 60 seconds, we will visit with Joe Girardi from the Yankee dugout. Back at Fenway in 60 with Joe Girardi. With us live from the Yankee dugout. Joe, many thanks and welcome.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Joe.
How you doing? This is Joe. Did you send Derek Jeter there, or was he on his own?
No, there's a situation. Our guys are on their own in that situation. If they feel they can get a jump, they can go. And it worked out very well for us.
You had a double steal part of your arsenal now, right?
Yeah, well, when you got speed on third base like that, you could do those type of things.
Johnny Damon's gone. Matsui's gone. Do you think you lost? How are you going to make up for that loss of offense?
Well, we look at all the guys that we added when adding Granderson in center field. We think we got more athletic, and you had Nick Johnson, who's a very good DH, a very good hitter, and can spell Tex at first base every once in a while. And in that, we got Javi Vasquez, our fourth starter. So we look at the three guys, not trying to just replace two. Just do your own thing, and we like the addition of the three guys.
Hey, Joe, CC Sabathia 50 pitches through 3 innings. Is there a number you have in mind for him tonight?
No, I mean, we're not going to let him go to 120, but we're going to watch him closely and see how he's throwing the ball and their approach on him, and that's when we'll make our decision.
Joe, we'll let you go back to work. Many thanks again.
Thanks, guy.
Joe Girardi, manager of the world champion Yankees. And there's Sabathia to Pedroia. Big hitters coming up with the Red Sox here. Pedroia, then Victor Martinez, and then Kevin Youkilis. Pedroia struck out his first time. Fastball for a strike.
The Yankees picked up right where they were last year. CC Sabathia got run support of 5.94, fourth in the American League. So when he's on the mound, they score. And they're starting right where they were with 2009 with this guy. Maybe they put him over the hump this year. He won 19, 3 in the playoffs. He'd like to win 20 in the regular season.
Nice pickup by Teixeira. Sabathia. Out! Pedroia looked like he wanted to go fight umpire Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, but that's a second baseman. He's smart. He knows he can't win that argument. He's already been called out. But it did look like it was a very close play at first base. CC was a little late getting there. But one of the reasons is because the left-handed pitcher falls off to the third base side. He has to turn all the way around. And Pedroia got out of the box hustling down the line, but clearly he is out. I won't say clearly, but it was a close play, but he is out. And you see his foot hits the bag if he'd hit the front of the bag, he may have been safe.
He hit the side
of
the bag.
The side of the bag. He hits the back of the bag, actually, and so CC hit the front of the bag.
Of course, doing what he was doing at the speed he was doing it, if he'd actually where he was, if he'd hit the front of the bag, he might have broken a finger.
Well, that's one of the things when you dive into bags, you risk injury.
Victor Martinez takes ball 1 out, nobody on.
Especially when you also know that CC Sabathia's foot's coming about the same time. It's probably about a size 14 with about 280 pounds above it. I think I'd take the outside of the bag too myself.
I remember doing a game several years ago, just before the All-Star break one year. Roberto Alomar, perennial All-Star, would always make that headlong dive to first base, and he broke a finger. They always kept telling him, don't do that, you might break a finger. And then finally one day he did. Coco Crisp, former Red Sox center fielder, now with Oakland. And he was ready to open the season as Oakland center fielder. And Friday night, 2 nights ago, in an exhibition game in San Francisco, he broke his pinky finger with a head-first slide at second, trying to steal a bag. He's on the disabled list to open the year.
It's definitely faster to go head first, right, Joe? You go to feet first, slow, head first.
Head first is the fastest way, but it's the most dangerous. I never went head first until I couldn't run anymore because I didn't want to take the chance of hurting my fingers or the guy stepping on them.
And a foul by Victor Martinez, who grounded out to first his first time. By the way, that play, we kind of focused on how close it was at first, but quite a grab by Mark Teixeira on a tough hop.
But it kind of shows, Dustin Pedroia just busting it out of the batter's box, trying to get to first base. He hustles all the time, and he wanted to be rewarded for that hustle on that play, and that's why he was upset.
2-2. A-Rod picks it up. 2 men gone. Now let's go to Steve Berthium in the studio for the Sports Center right now. Two down, nobody on. Here is Kevin Youkilis against Sabathia. And that fastball too tight. 1 ball and no strike. And keep in mind, Youkilis gets hit a lot.
Well, the reason he gets hit a lot, John, is because they like to pitch him inside. They don't like he likes the ball out over the plate. So when you miss inside, you make sure, as Oral has said on several occasions, you miss off the plate inside.
Youkilis has the only Red Sox hit against Sabathia so far tonight. Pops it up.
Hands.
He went in just like you
on the hands right
expected. Jeter's got it. 3 up and 3 down. Terry Francona, Red Sox manager, will visit with us from the Boston dugout when we come back in 60 seconds. High above Fenway, down to the home dugout at Fenway, and welcome to Red Sox manager Terry Francona. Terry, many thanks.
Okay, guys, how you doing?
Terry, this is Oral. How far you think you're going to go with Josh Beckett here tonight?
Well, I mean, I don't think 95 or 100 is a pretty good starting mark for opening night. Now, again, some of the scoreboard's going to dictate that too. We'll have Schoenweiss going here pretty soon with some of their lefties coming up.
Now, through spring training as a manager, one of your biggest roles, how difficult was it to infiltrate the new personnel there? You got a big roster turnover.
No, but we had good guys coming in, and our clubhouse has always been great to, whether it's rookie guys or guys coming from other organizations, once they come in our clubhouse, they feel like they're a part of us. That's not been a problem.
And Skip, how many things went wrong in that double steal there?
Well, that wasn't what we needed to give Gardner a little bit better look. We know with their speed, they're going to use it. We didn't execute that very well.
We really appreciate you coming on.
Okay, guys.
We'll let Terry Francona get back to work. And again, many thanks to him. Here is Mark Teixeira to lead off for the Yankees at Oral. You asked him about how many pitches for Beckett, and he's just thrown his 75th pitch of the night.
He's thinking maybe about 20 more, somewhere around 95 on the scoreboard. But if he settles in, has a quick inning, goes back to the bench and says, yeah, I feel good, Skip. They get a few runs. You probably squeak another inning out of him after this one. But if it's rocky again, remember, they don't play tomorrow. They're off tomorrow, and then they play back again on the 6th.
They got the bullpen working right now, even as Beckett starts to work here in the inning. You've got the big sluggers up with Teixeira at the plate. There's Scott Schoenweiss up again. A left-hander in the Boston bullpen. You got Teixeira up and A-Rod on deck. And the count goes to 2-2. Beckett only has 1 strikeout in this game. That was a called third strike. He's only had 1 swing and a miss from a Yankee hitter. And he's a guy who gets a lot of those swings and misses ordinarily when he's right.
We just have 1 right there, so that was the second one. Teixeira to swung and miss. But that was a high fastball to Nick Swisher, wasn't it, John?
2-2 the count.
We've talked about Beckett trying to keep the ball down, and all that's great. But I think Beckett's best pitch is the high fastball, that power fastball up. It's great to get the ground balls and save yourself some pitches, but, I mean, when you need to get an out, I think that high fastball is still his best pitch.
Center field, Cameron. And there is one away now. Teixeira is 0 for 3, and Alex Rodriguez is coming up. Cameron, Fenway is not a big ballpark, except out there to the right of straightaway center and out in almost all of right field. So Cameron will have chances to show off his great range in this ballpark.
And it's something that a lot of Red Sox fans around the nation wondered about a 37-year-old, that he runs great routes and still has the speed, hasn't lost a step as far as what Terry Francona has seen.
And there was only one center fielder who played every day, as did Cameron, who got to more balls than Cameron did last year. That's Franklin Gutierrez in Seattle.
He's a good one.
Alex Rodriguez 0 for 2 in the game, and a fastball for a called strike. I say fastball, only 87 miles an hour. Or maybe the changeup. A-Rod hit a comebacker his first time and then grounded into an inning-ending double play in the third. 5-1. The Yankees are leading. 2 runs in the second, 3 in the fourth. And that is too low. He needs a quick inning. Beckett does.
It's hard against a lineup like this. The depth of the Yankee lineup that Josh Beckett's having to go through. The 2-3-4 hitters today 0 for 7. 5 through 9 in Derek Jeter. 7 for 12. That's a long lineup to go through, guys.
Jeter, of the first 4 hitters, is the only one of the 4 to even have a hit. Jeter, Johnson, Teixeira, and A-Rod.
When I talked to Girardi today about the loss of Damon and Matsui, that's what he said. The length of the lineup and the depth of our lineup will have to make up the difference. As you're saying, all the way down to the bottom now, they've got some guys that can produce runs. And we've seen Gardner do it with his speed and his bat, and we know Granderson can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Curve in the dirt. Full count now. Well, we still have Granderson, who hit 30 home runs last year in Detroit, hitting 7th. And Nick Swisher, who hit 29 home runs last year and nearly 100 walks. He's hitting 8th.
That makes it a deep lineup, definitely.
I played in some ball clubs in Cleveland, 95, 96, 97. I just wanted to see 7 runs a game, and that's what that club averaged. I was over there with the Dodgers with 2 and 3. I thought it was a big number. They get 2 and 3 an inning in Cleveland at that time. That's the way this Yankee lineup is.
3-2 the count. Popped him up. Youkilis will give way to Pedroia. And A-Rod is 0 for 3. Beckett shutting down Teixeira, A-Rod. The top of the order. The 2010 NFL Draft returns to ESPN in prime time. The all-new 3-day event starts on ESPN Thursday, April 22nd. Tune in as future NFL stars take to the big stage, the NFL Draft. It's all right here on ESPN Thursday, April 22nd through Saturday, April 24th. They don't go like 24 hours a day for 3 days. How many rounds do they have in that draft? Cano smokes one to right field over the head of Drew and at the base of the wall, and Drew is going to hold Cano to a single, and apparently Robinson forgot what ballpark he was playing in, because that's long gone at the new Yankee Stadium. But you got to crush one here at Fenway Park in that part of this yard.
I tell you what, he hits the ball hard. I mean, he has such good hand action. The ball just jumps off his bat. I mean, this is a line drive. J.D. Drew, pretty good outfielder, but he has no chance on this pitch. He can't get back there. It looks like it's a changeup, and he just rips it. And you can see it's a low line drive. He doesn't have time to get back there. He makes a nice barehanded pickup and throws it back to the second base. But I still think you're in a situation with 2 outs. Might want to try it.
Here is Jorge Posada with Cano at first and 2 down. K-Zone brought to you by MLB 10, the show. Posada knocked in the first run of the season with a home run off the right field foul pole in the second inning. Grounded out to second, a productive out, helping set up a run in the fourth. That's Cano at first. And back to the bag.
I think you're right, Joe. He shouldn't be at first base. That's where the old saying of first and third, do not make the first or third out at third base. Well, where does that go? Turn that saying around. Should not be jogging with 2 outs when you hit a blister to right field. Especially when you see the outfielder's numbers from the batter's box, Joe, you know he's turned and gone, and you got 2 outs. You got to bust it.
Well, I think he realized that. You see him hit his hand like I should have tried it after.
But you can't try it after your first 3-4 strides are the way his will.
So Cano, 27 years old, and still on occasion there is a play like that where you say, well, that's a that's a rookie mistake or a young player's mistake, but he's been around for a while now.
Down there in Florida and Tampa, that ball's way long gone, especially Florida and the way the ball carries in the spring. And, all the reps he's had so far to this point have been, that's a home run. So hitters kind of get used to that, Joe. I never hit a home run in my career. You'd have to talk about that.
Well, I mean, like you said, Florida, the ball travels better. And Arizona as well, all the spring training sites.
You kind of want to rescue him as a broadcaster right here, but you wish it at home that the guy's busted. You got to go for it, and you're giving him a little grace because it's the first game.
Plus, he's already hit a double. He hit 48 doubles last year. He could lead the league in doubles. That's a double. Go for the double off the bat. Plus, 2 down, you're supposed to go for second base if at all possible. And that's inside to Posada. 3 balls and a strike. Granderson on deck. Cano has been one of the best hitting second basemen since he broke in. Batting average above 300. That's the 3rd best of all American League second basemen. More home runs than any second baseman in the league. He can hit. 3-1. Out of play off to the left.
Well, when he broke in, Joe, everybody talked about possible batting title. You see that in him?
Yeah, I still do. I think he's such a good hitter. And again, the ball jumps off his bat, so that means it'll jump through the infield for singles. You have to hit a lot of all-line drives, Rod Carew, those guys, or you have to hit the ball really hard. And I think he hits the ball hard enough that he's going to get a lot of those base hits that would be outs for other hitters.
Cano runs as Posada fouls one back on the 93rd pitch of the night, thrown by Josh Beckett. So we were talking about maybe he could get a quick inning. He needed one after he got Teixeira and A-Rod out. It looked possible, but Cano saw a few pitches and hit the screamer off the right field wall for a single. And now Posada has gotten a 3-2 count, and Beckett has not finished with him yet. Youkilis behind Cano at first with 2 down. There goes Cano with a 3-2 count and ball 4.
Well, it was timeout. They call timeout.
So still ball 3.
Yeah, still ball 3.
No,
you got to make as one wasted pitch. But it was still.
Is that a little late for a timeout to be granted?
I agree, but it was granted. The one thing I was noticing about Beckett, when he started the game, he looked great, and you mentioned it's the adrenaline maybe, but he just doesn't seem the same afterwards. Remember, he retired the first 5 guys and looked great.
His rhythm is definitely a little off. He struggled in April last year, 2-2 with a 7 ERA. We have 2 starters that have struggled in April out here tonight, but CC Sabathia has turned the page so far on that.
Cano runs. And now it is ball 4. So the timeout, he ended up throwing another pitch. And that is going to be his final pitch. Most likely, here comes Terry Francona. You saw Schoenweiss up in the bullpen.
Well, with Granderson up, left-handed hitter,
he's made the call. So Curtis Granderson coming up. And the left-hander, Scott Schoenweiss, will be brought in for the bullpen. The Yankees already leading 5-1. A short night for Josh Beckett. Opening night baseball presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser. The 21st season of Major League Baseball coverage on ESPN and the ESPN family of networks. And Josh Beckett had a very long, short night, not finishing the 5th inning, but throwing nearly 100 pitches in only 4 2/3. And here is Scott Schoenweiss, who's going to try and revive his major league career, which he may have feared was over when the Milwaukee Brewers released him during the spring. The Red Sox, however, signed him as a minor league free agent on March 26th. That's a week and a half ago. And the count is 0-1 to Curtis Granderson. The left-hander comes in to face the left-handed batting Granderson with Cano at second, Posada at first.
John, very quickly, the Yankees added 2 new outfielders, Randy Wynn and Granderson. Both of them were 1-2 in the lowest batting averages against left-handed pitching last year. For instance,
it's called a foul ball.
Wynn hit 158 against left-handed pitching, and Granderson hit 183 against left-handed pitching. There's Randy Wynn, of course, and both of the outfielders came in this season.
There is Atchison now up in the Boston bullpen. Scott Atchison. 2 men on, 2 men out. 5-1 Yankees. Granderson has homered and grounded out. Slider gets away from Martinez. The runners advance. Cano to third and Posada to second. Scott Schoenweiss last year was in 45 games for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but also missed time on the bereavement list after his wife died very tragically. He also spent time on the disabled list battling depression soon thereafter. And now back in the big leagues, pitching opening night here at Fenway Park. Struck out Granderson on the breaking ball away. 2 men stranded. Red Sox with Big Papi, then Beltray and Drew coming up against Sabathia, trailing 5-1. Hit from Fenway, down 5-1 with David Ortiz to lead off. 5 runs, 8 hits for the Yankees, only 1 hit and 1 run for the Boston Red Sox against CC Sabathia. David Ortiz helped set up their 1 run with a productive out, which is not exactly what they have in mind for Big Papi all year. They'd rather he just go ahead and drive in the run. But with the runner at second, nobody out, he hit the ground ball to first to move him over to third, and then Beltray hit the sacrifice fly to get him home. So they made a run out of almost nothing there in that second inning, which was good because that's what they're getting all night from Sabathia, is just about nothing.
Well, David Ortiz hit the only home run against the left-hander. I mean, Sabathia only gave up 1 home run to a left-handed hitter last year, and it was David Ortiz. We were talking about that. So he did have that 1 home run off of Sabathia last year. And David Ortiz has made a big point of saying that he talks to Albert Pujols all the time, but they talked a lot this winter. And one of the things he stressed, meaning Pujols stressed to him, was to keep his head still. So we'll, take a note of that.
1 ball, 1 strike to David Ortiz. Well, when you see Pujols,
well, your picture of him is like he's swinging and his head is right there.
That head just never moves.
Yeah. The more your head moves, obviously, the tougher it is to hit.
2-1. Well, here's that quote you were talking about, Joe. We always talk about hitting, meaning he and Albert. He always makes a point of how you can keep your head still. You need to keep it in the same place. The more you move your head, the more the ball moves.
Now, I didn't see that quote, guys. That was just me paraphrasing.
You talked to him at the batting cage.
Yeah, well, the more you move your head, the more it moves. I think I already knew that. but I mean, being honest with you, it's like golfers. You can't keep your head perfectly still. So the point is you keep it still as long as you can. And the swing, your body moves it a little bit. The swing of your follow through takes your head a little bit forward.
3-1 the count. And a pop-up. Alex Rodriguez. And 1 away.
We're going to go back and show you what happened on the double steal. Terry Francona said they didn't execute well. The reason they didn't execute, look at Martinez. He comes up, doesn't look at third, just throws to second base. Now look at Gardner. See where he is, how far he is. Beltray's not even in the picture. As a base runner, you get off as far as the third baseman is because there's no way to throw it to him. And if they come that way, you can get back. And you can see here, no chance for anybody to make a play on Gardner because he was so far down the line. That's what Francona meant when he said they didn't execute properly.
So it wasn't just Victor not looking at third. It wouldn't have mattered. Nobody was at third.
But he can freeze him a little bit sometime. But he was already down the line so far. Even if he freezes and then Victor throws to second, he's still going to be able to score. When you have a speedy base runner, you can't throw those 2 long throws and have him not be able to steal home plate.
Well, what happens on that play, too, Joe, is the base runner is instructed to stay on the baseline so the catcher doesn't have a perspective of the third dimension of knowing how far he is off the bag. And when he doesn't look, the look usually is not only to register to bluff him back, but to register the distance so you hold the ball.
With an 0-2 count, I don't believe you should probably throw through with a speedy runner at third anyway. If you're going to throw someplace, you throw it back to the pitcher or throw it to third base, have the third baseman come in behind it. But it was a perfect situation. That's why I said it was a perfect situation for Jeter to run. It's 0-2. So you as a defense, you should be aware of that.
Well, they got Beltre chasing a bad one there. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the other thing which we could see in that ESPN axis, I kind of like that. Is that your new toy this year?
I love it.
Well,
it's going to really show something.
Scutero was not going to a spot in front of second base to cut off the throw. He was going to second base and then had to react to the throw. Changed up on him. Strike 3.
Well, the one thing about the axis, you can see everybody. You can see who moves, who didn't. Let's take another look, and we'll watch Scutero. And I'll trace where he should go. See where he goes? He goes to the bag, as you said. First of all, whenever you have a double steal situation, you should not be playing that deep, John. You got to be able to play where you can come in here and take that throw and then throw to the plate. You can't throw from second base to the plate and get a speedy runner like Gardner. You see, there's no way they can make the play there.
So he had gone to the bag,
right,
and then had to come rushing in for the so-called cutoff. And by that time, he wasn't really in position to. It wouldn't have mattered anyway.
But you see what they're talking about there. That has to be what they're talking about. But if you're that deep, you can't throw to second base. If the second baseman and the shortstop are that deep on the infield, you cannot throw to second base because they can't get there in time and then come forward and get the ball and make the throw to the plate. That's why I say you have to, in those situations, you have to either throw to the pitcher or try to pick the guy off at third.
J.D. Drew with a base hit to left field with 2 down. The second hit of the game for the Red Sox. And that keeps the inning alive for Mike Cameron. Now we are in Fenway. Cameron hit 24 home runs last year. The big wall in left field beckons. There's plenty of time for the Red Sox to get back in this game. So we'll see. But now, going back to that double steal, it's as if the whole way the Red Sox were approaching it, there should have been no throw
right.
second
Well,
base.
they weren't on the same page.
No.
I mean, if there's a glance back, then Scutero's pattern at second base is not bad because the runner gets frozen and he has a chance by changing his angle to get the runner coming home. But Martinez never bluffs the runner back and freezes him. Scutero thinks maybe I got a frozen runner. With the way they played it, throwing it straight through, Scutero's got to stay at the bag and just try and get Jeter. At least get an out. Give him the run, but get an out.
But they were too deep on the infield. I mean, see, when you sit up here, I was looking out there. That's one of the reasons I said this is a good time for Jeter to go. When I look out there and I see the second baseman and the shortstop too far away from the bag to be able to get in there and come forward, then that's the time to go. And I think that's what Girardi was saying, that they're on their own to do that. Because they definitely were not in a position, meaning the infielder, the shortstop or the second baseman, to be able to come in, take that throw, coming forward, and get Gardner. So, like you said, it was just they didn't execute it properly.
So Gardner got the steal of home. As you see Scutero on deck with Cameron at the plate. And the fastball is too low. We're at Fenway Park. Opening night for Major League Baseball 2010. The Yankees, who won the World Series last year, leading the Boston Red Sox, who won the World Series in 2007 and also 2004. Yankees lead 5-1. 2 runs in the second on consecutive home runs by Posada and the new center fielder Granderson. The Red Sox got a run back on a sacrifice fly by their new third baseman, Adrian Beltre. And then the Yankees got 3 runs in the fourth against Beckett. Beckett lasted only 4 2/3 innings before being sent to the showers. Sabathia, meanwhile, has only allowed 2 hits, including a single to left in this inning by J.D. Drew with 2 down.
He's been very careful to Cameron.
And the foul ball, and it's a full count now with Scutero, who's not a powerful guy like Mike Cameron, on deck, but a good hitter. Hit over 280 last year for the Blue Jays. There's Josh Beckett, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 5 runs allowed on 8 hits.
3 of the innings that he pitched, he had to take 29, 25, and 20 pitches to get through. So it was not a very efficient outing tonight.
Runner goes, and that's a base hit to left field for Cameron.
That was a changeup, 3-2 changeup, and Cameron did a good job of staying on the ball and hitting it to left field. Watch where this pitch is. It's a changeup, and it looks like it's down toward the outside part of the plate. And a good job by, now watch, here's the changeup. Look at that. I mean, that ball's off the plate. That's just good hitting there by Cameron. You can't say that it was a bad pitch. Look at where the location. Stays on it and reaches out and just kind of flips it to left field. That's good hitting there. And this K-Zone is brought to you by MLB 10 The Show.
All right. So K-Zone is not your new toy, but it's still one of your favorite toys.
Oh, I love it. Actually, I think, well, I'm going to let Oral have the K-Zone toy.
I brought the Access with me, guys. The K-Zone was his. I'm bringing the Access.
All right, I'll let you have the, you take the K-Zone.
Oh, I get the
K-Zone
K-Zone.
is so 2005.
Oh, you are so Californian.
This is 2010.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I have to
We're
tell you,
that three-dimensional thing.
Great. That's great. I mean, it's going to show. Well, it shows the entire field where, truthfully, it shows what we can see from up here. But normally the camera only gives you that one angle, and fans at home don't get a chance to see what we see.
Marco Scutaro at the plate. 2 men on, 2 men out. Line to left, hanging, and base hit. One hop to Gardner. And here comes Drew, and the throw gets away, and everybody will advance. Cameron to third. Scutaro to second, as it's 5-2 Yankees. Two other runners into scoring position when only one should have been. And we'll see if they end up paying for that with Ellsbury coming up.
And remember, all this started after 2 outs. David Ortiz popped up, struck out Beltre, and then he got in trouble.
Scutaro is a line drive machine. 23% of the balls left his bat last year were line drives. That throw right there is just not going to happen. And we've got some guys in left field that haven't played there very much, but you still know how to hit a cutoff.
Well, you're just where was the throw supposed to go?
Third base.
Well, why not to the shortstop? The shortstop's out there.
Yeah, but throw it to third base. That'll keep the runner that was on first from going to third.
So you think he was attempting to do that? I mean, that should be about the easiest throw a left fielder would ever make. Nobody's even attempting to do it.
Actually was trying to throw it home, but I mean, I don't think that.
So you think he was trying for the runner?
Yes. Well, he got all the way to the plate. I think so. Look, it's still,
it got within about 40 feet of the plate.
Yeah.
But more, it was headed toward the backstop.
But it's still, early in the season, so we'll give him that.
If I'm Brett, I'm asking to come out tomorrow for a little extra work here in left field on the day off. Ellsbury with strike 2.
Well, see, I think he's trying to throw to the plate. He's obviously overthrew the cutoff man, the shortstop, and he overthrew third base. So the play was, he was trying to throw it to the plate.
But A-Rod would have been set up for a cutoff at the plate if
he wanted.
You got a brand new left fielder that picked up a lot of information there. He had a shortstop, a third baseman, a catcher in his vision. He hasn't been in that position very long at all, and he made a big mistake.
No swing.
He flinched. He flinched on it. He just didn't know at the moment of truth. He really didn't make a decisive decision. If you told Brett Gardner to throw to a certain guy, he's a big leaguer, he could hit him. There had to be something between the ears that went wrong.
Well, now with that error, if Ellsbury gets a base hit to the outfield, this is suddenly a one-run game. Cameron at third, Scutaro at second. Off the outside. As 3 straight Red Sox have reached base, they'd only had 1 hit against Sabathia. With 2 down and nobody out here in the 5th, now they've had 3 consecutive hits. Small ball at Fenway Park. Cameron at third, Scutaro at second. 2-2 to Ellsbury. Curveball. Strike 3 call. So it goes for Ellsbury. He's 0 for 3 tonight. CC Sabathia with a big out right there. He's still leading 5-2. It opened April 20th, 1912. And the Red Sox defeated the New York Highlanders. That name was later changed to the Yankees. In the first game at Fenway, 7-6 in 11 innings for a crowd of 27,000 fans. Fenway will celebrate its 100th anniversary in just a couple of years. The 99th opening game here at Fenway taking place right now here on ESPN2. 5-2, the Yankees lead the Red Sox as we start the 6th inning. Scott Schoenweiss in relief of Josh Beckett to Nick Swisher. And that is a called strike. Swisher is a switch hitter, so now batting right-handed. He had a single and a walk as a left-handed hitter versus Beckett. Brett Gardner on deck. And then Derek Jeter due up third, the leadoff man. Into the hole. Long throw for Scudero from shallow left. Right there. One away. The Red Sox with Schoenweiss on the mound, but they have some action going in their bullpen. That is Ramon Ramirez, a right-hander. Getting ready if needed. You got another lefty here, Gardner. Then the right-handed hitting Jeter on deck. As Ramirez, a right-hander, gets set in the bullpen. We mentioned Fenway Park. You can't get a ticket to a game at Fenway now. The Red Sox tonight selling out a home game for the 551st consecutive time. The last time they failed to sell out a game at Fenway was May the 1st, 2003, almost 7 years ago. Brett Gardner showing bunt, taking a called strike. Gardner, who had what I would have to say was an embarrassing moment there. Red Sox half of the 5th with that wild throw.
But you know what he did? He was the first guy to greet CeCe when he came in for picking him up. I noticed that when he came off the field, he waited for CeCe to come off the mound. As soon as he got to the dugout, he was there thanking him, gave him a high five for picking him up.
So CeCe had his back.
We had a nice conversation in our production meeting about winners and losers as far as pitchers and earn runs and pitchers that have heart, that respond to situations like that. Yep. Way to pick me up.
The first one to see him. Thank you. Yeah.
That 4th out sometimes is the key to winning pitchers. You know, those guys that have enough heart to play through and push through those errors.
And it takes a special pitcher, like you say, those to be able to, a lot of times guys make an error behind the guy and he just kind of lets down. The other alternative is to pick the guy up behind you.
Shallow right center field. There's Cameron. And Gardner is retired for the first time. He had 2 singles and an RBI earlier. Let's go to the studio now. Here's Steve Berthiaume with the SportsCenter in-game update. All right, it looks like a UConn-Stanford final. At least it's early yet in that game. Meanwhile, here, and I think that's what everybody expected. The 2 best teams in the country. Ramon Ramirez in for the bullpen for the Red Sox to face Derek Jeter when we come back. 5-2 Yankees. Get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DIRECT-TV. John Miller with Joe Morgan, Oral Hershiser. Baseball from Fenway, the 2010 Major League season opens tonight. Has already opened here tonight. First hit of the season, a home run by Jorge Posada. And there's Derek Jeter with his 2nd hit of the new year. Jeter, who had 212 hits last year. Only Ichiro had more in the American League. And here he comes again. Jeter now at age 35.
He's got to be very comfortable. He swung at the first pitch of the game against Beckett, grounded out to short. Here, the first pitch against Ramirez, and he just hits a 91-mile-an-hour fastball right back at him. Derek Jeter feeling good.
What do you mean without seeing his motion? Without seeing anything?
Exactly. Come out of spring training, first opening day, goes right after.
By the way, it's Jeet. If you're like really in the Yankee clubhouse.
What did I say?
Jeter.
You call him Jeter.
It's Jeet.
Jeet.
Short. It's his nickname.
Oh, I thought you were correcting my pronunciation. I apologize.
They like an A-Rod.
I thought it said across my forehead, rookie.
No, it's like an A-Rod.
That's
Rook.
That's Jeet seems real comfortable out there tonight.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
I got that
well,
from
earlier I called Terry Francona Tito.
I did too, and then I changed. But that's his nickname.
Yeah, we
Tito.
go with Tito.
I tried to correct it to Terry, but it's Tito.
Should we try doing anything on nicknames?
Jeet has no problems with that. You calling him Tito. And Nick Johnson with a count of 2 balls and no strikes now. Well, I got the Jeet from CC Sabathia.
Oh, okay.
He said that it kind of struck him last year, opening day in Baltimore, before the game. You see, he said he had the normal nerves you have that usually channel in a positive way, but all of a sudden he saw Jeet and then Posada and Mariano Rivera in the clubhouse wearing that New York across their chest, walking across in full uniform, the clubhouse, and he said the impact of what he had done really hit him right then, like, wow,
but
I'm on the Yankees. I'm with the New York Yankees, the most successful team of all time. But he said Jeet. See?
Yeah, but then he didn't see Jorge, he saw George, and he didn't see Rivera, he saw Mo.
Yeah.
So, John, get it right.
He saw Jeet, Georgie, and Mo. And that's all for NJ. Nick Johnson. Jeet got a hit, but he got stranded. Opening night here at Fenway Park, but the hometown 9 is trailing 5-2 to the Yankees as we start the Red Sox 6th. And Dustin Pedroia leads off, hitting number 2 in the order. He'll be followed by Victor Martinez and Kevin Youkilis. So the big hitters are coming up for the Red Sox. And these first 3 hitters in the lineup, Ellsbury, the leadoff man, then Pedroia and Martinez, have all been shut down by Sabathia so far tonight.
Well, his name is Petey. That's what they call him in the locker room. I try not to use nicknames. I usually try to pronounce them, Jeter or whatever. But if we're going to get into Jeet, they call Dustin Petey in the locker room.
Gotcha.
All right.
I've always appreciated that of you guys over the 20 years or so using our real names.
Yeah.
I would never want you to use my nickname.
Bulldog.
The first name like Oral.
We're not into nicknames, Bulldog.
Thank you, sir.
I'm John Miller along with Little Joe and Bulldog.
He had to go there. See? Hey, they haven't called me that in a lot of years, but okay, I'll go for it.
Way to go, John.
Well, what was the preferred nickname?
The Sweet Pea. Well, Harry Callis, Harry gave me that. He told me that.
Harry the Kid.
Harry Callis and Jimmy Wynn.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Sweet Pea.
Well,
I miss that when we would go to Philadelphia. The late Harry Callis would come by the booth looking for you.
The big red machine has a Sweet Pea.
He'd come in and he'd say, John, have you seen the Sweet Pea?
Well, that was before I went to Cincinnati. When I went to Houston, we were all there together.
Tell him Harry the K is looking for him. That's ball 4 to Pedroia.
Well, CC has not had some good Aprils in the last 2 years, and one of the main flaws in his delivery early on has been the height of his back leg and staying tall. But tonight he is staying tall. You see that right there? And watch as the leg comes through, he stays up. He doesn't break that back knee down. And the reason he can do that is because it stays in motion. When your back leg is in motion constantly and calmly, you don't have to restart your engine as a pitcher. The way you restart your engine usually, fly out the front shoulder or collapse the back leg.
A lot of times pitchers do that because they're trying to get a little more giddy up on that fastball. They lean back to get it.
And some of the worst advice you can give a pitcher is to stay back. Stay back is fine, but stay back with rhythm and a little bit of motion. And it's an athletic balance, not a stagnant balance. CC does not come to a balance point where he has stopped. He comes to a balance point where it's in rhythm and he continues.
So you like what you've been seeing. But on the other hand, the Red Sox have built up his pitch count. He's now at 91 pitches for the game, and the Yankee bullpen has gotten busy. The big hitters are up right now for the Red Sox as Martinez, Sabathia's old mate in Cleveland. They both came up with the Cleveland Indians. Sabathia on the mound, Victor Martinez behind the plate, working with him. Good friends. And now they could hardly be in different places professionally. Sabathia a Yankee, Victor Martinez a Red Sox. And the changeup is way off the outside. The Yankee bullpen, as we mentioned, is working. Robertson, David Robertson, a right-hander, is getting ready out there. Right-handed hitting Youkilis is on deck. We're only in the 6th inning. A long way to go in this ball game at Fenway. Could be another one of those epic struggles at Fenway. It's a strike call. The knees on the inside. Martinez didn't seem to like that call.
It's significant that Dave Robertson is up in the bullpen for the Yankees, because that tells Yankee fans that Java Chamberlain has the 8th inning role as of tonight. They were thinking that, Java didn't get a lot of people out in spring training. Is he a failed starter? Is he an 8th inning guy? And with Robertson up.
That is down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Skips by that boxing railing into the corner. Pedroia to third. He'll stop there as Gardner gets it back in. A double for Victor Martinez. His first hit against his old mate, CC Sabathia. And look out, the Red Sox are in business.
Well, I think he tried a changeup, and he did not get in good location. But I've seen Mike Cameron go out and get the changeup, so they may be able to read it a little better out of his hand. But a good job of hitting there by Victor Martinez. But let's face it, he's one of the better hitters in the game anyway. So it doesn't mean that Sabathia did anything wrong. He's just a good hitter.
Dave Island, the pitching coach, to the mound now to chat with Sabathia along with Posada and Jeter.
Well, the problem that you have as a manager when you're like Joe Girardi, are you trying to get these guys ready for the season out of spring training, trying to build up their stamina so that they're ready to go the rest of the way, or are you trying to just treat them like they're in spring training still? That's the tough decision to make. How long do you let CC go in these types of situations? Are you still trying to build his arm strength for the rest of the season? So how quickly do you take him out?
One thing is for sure, 5 of the last 6 Red Sox hitters have reached base against him now. So it could be that he's starting to fade. Here is Youkilis, a cleanup hitter, and a cutter off the inside for ball 1.
Joe, your point's well taken on CC, because you have a pitch count, you build a guy up, and fans at home might be thinking, well, isn't he ready? Well, you're ready, but you're still watching for a whole season what you want to do with a guy. And build him into his pitch count and build him into the intensity. I don't care how many pitches you throw in spring training. You cannot have a pitch that is thrown like it is here in Fenway Park.
With the intention.
The same intensity.
Yep. Right. You have to have the intention of making a great pitch. In spring training, you're working on getting your arm in shape.
And the Red Sox fans, for one of the first times tonight, come alive. And the count is 2-0 to Kevin Youkilis, who has hit a double off the wall in left center and scored a run and popped up to short. Runners at second and third, nobody out. 5-2, the Yankees are leading.
And he has to be very careful with this pitch, because Youkilis will sit on a fastball middle in and try to use that wall in left field. So you have to make a good pitcher if you're Sabathia.
2-0 the count. 3-0. The left-handed hitting David Ortiz on deck.
When does it click in a hitter's head, Joe, that I'm not going to move him over and get 2 runs with 2 outs? I'm just going to be a normal hitter with no outs.
Well, when it becomes 2 balls and no strikes, you sit on a fastball, especially here in Fenway Park. You're 3 runs down. You're one of the power hitters. If I get the fastball in, I'm going to let it go.
3-1. That surprised you? He took that one?
Yeah. Well, it's 3-0. I think they feel like he may have had the hit sign, John, but that ball again was away. When you're in this situation, if you're going to try to take a shot, you need the ball middle in, or you have to go the other way, as Oral was saying. I think when you get ahead of the pitcher, you don't give up the at-bat. You don't give in and go the other way in a ballpark like Fenway when you're a good hitter like Youkilis is. You look for the fastball in, and you say to myself, I'm going to make sure I elevate.
And Youkilis is a hitter who's very comfortable hitting with 1 and 2 strikes. So he'd lend himself more to taking in a 3-0 count, knowing he could still hit these counts.
Down the right field line. That's going to go for a while. A long run for Swisher. Pedroia scores. Martinez scores. And heading for third, Youkilis. A stand-up triple. And it's a 1-run game.
And we talked about how good a hitter Youkilis is. He takes this fastball away and goes the other way with it. He saw that Sabathia wasn't coming inside. He stayed away on all the pitches. So what does he do? He goes away and goes the other way with it. Let's take a look at the pitch sequence here. See, it's supposed to be inside. That pitch is inside first base, and everything else is away. Watch where all the pitches are. Everything's away. Everything's away, even that strike. So he goes the other way. He says he's not going to give in and come in. I'm going to go the other way. And that's why he's such a good hitter. He realizes what's going on, and he adjusts to what CC was doing to him.
So now the possible tying run is at third, and here's Ortiz to try and get him home. And breaking for the play, Euclid. Now he's going to go back as the throw goes to Sabathia. Euclid at the same time, sliding back into third.
Well, Euclid almost made a mistake there. I mean, with no one out, you have to make sure that ball goes goes back to the backstop. I mean, you don't want to, give up an out here trying to score from third. You're the tying run. You got David Ortiz at the plate.
And that's the hardest ball for the runner on third base to read because it's going directly away from him. He doesn't have the angle of how far it's going to be.
Infield backed up for Ortiz. A mighty cut, but a foul backing out of play.
Interesting. I think you have to play the infield back with David Ortiz up. But the question is, if Ortiz doesn't get him in, then what do? Do you bring the infield in for Beltre? And maybe bring in the pitcher from the bullpen, Robertson, in as well.
Could be Sabathia's facing this final man here.
I don't think there's any doubt that he is.
5-4 Yankees. And he lays off that curve. No swing, says Rob Drake, the third base umpire.
That's a very good take for David Ortiz right there on a breaking ball from a guy that he really thinks has a good fastball. To stay back like that and see that ball that long, that's a good sign for Red Sox fans.
Since he retired Beltre for the second out of the fifth inning, he's only retired one of the subsequent 7 hitters that he's faced. This will be his 104th pitch of the game. Muscled on a broken bat, and Euclid was trying to tempt Cano to come after him instead, but Cano played it cagily and got his man at first as Euclid goes back to third.
And a nice play by Cano. That was not an easy play to make, and decision-wise, he did the right thing. He kept running towards Euclid. So watch, he can't get it in the air, so he charges, gets it on the short hop, but he runs forward, and now he makes sure he gets the runner at first base.
And as you expected, that's all for CC Sabathia with a right-handed hitting Beltre coming up. David Robertson is in from the Yankee bullpen. It's a one-run game, one out. The possible tying run at third base, and the new third baseman Beltre coming up. It's over after 5 1/3 innings. 5-4. Yankees holding that slim lead. Opening day presented by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN and ESPN2 tomorrow. First game at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Cardinals and the Reds in Cincinnati. Then at 2 Eastern on ESPN2. Cleveland at Chicago against Ozzie Guillen's White Sox. At 4 Eastern on ESPN, the Cubs and Braves. All 3 games also available on ESPN3.com. And then more opening day presented by Dick's Sporting Goods tomorrow night at 7. Tim Lincecum and the Giants up against Roy Oswalt and the Astros. And at 10 Eastern, the Twins and Angels. And that's a base hit on the first pitch to Adrian Beltre, and we start over. It's all tied up. Beltre with his second RBI of the night.
Well, I think the Yankees did the right thing. They were playing the infield halfway. Euclid's not a speedy runner. You can come to the plate on a ground ball to one of the infielders, but it goes back to something, Earl and I were talking about earlier. Runner at third, try to stay up the middle. There's a pitch, fastball up, and he just laces it right back through the middle for a base hit. So there's more area in there than there is any place else.
And your infielders are a little deeper there. It's a longer throw if they happen to field it for that runner on third, of course. Yankees bring in a strikeout pitcher. 63 Ks last year and 43 2/3 innings. But the first pitch, a base hit.
That's an extreme strikeout pitcher.
Well, John, one of the things I think happened here is that CC's a victim of his own success. He was struggling. After you walk a guy in the 6th inning, normally they come get you, after he's struggling. But because he's been so successful and pitched so deep into the ball games, they left him in. Remember, they had hit 4 out of 5 hitters before the start of this inning and got the base hit. And then he walks the leadoff hitter. Normally, you go get the pitcher. But because he's had such success in his career going deep in the game, I think they stayed with him a little longer than they normally would.
He's the man.
Yeah.
J.D. Drew. Teixeira wanted to go to second, but hustling over there was Beltre. Teixeira instead got the short out on Drew at first. So now Beltre, the possible go-ahead run, is in scoring position for Mike Cameron, another one of the new Red Sox. Well, Beltre, he didn't hit a home run his first at bat like Granderson did in his new Yankee uniform, but he got a sacrifice fly his first plate appearance, and now he ties up the game in the 6th inning, and he's having a pretty good debut as a Red Sox.
Nice opening night.
Well, he's got 2 ribbies. Granderson only has 1 with his home run.
So here's Cameron now to try and put Boston ahead. Strike a 92-mile-an-hour fastball from Robertson. Cameron has had a walk and a single. Sabathia never did retire him. Cameron has had a lot of success over the years against Sabathia anyway. Curveball, A-Rod, and the inning is over. But Boston, with a 3-run rally, has tied the game as we head to the late innings, and the big hitters are coming up right away, right now. Teixeira, then A-Rod. Seventh inning, and here is Mark Teixeira. Last year, tied for the American League lead in home runs and led the league in runs batted in, facing Ramon Ramirez, and he has had some success against Ramirez. 2 for 4 with 2 home runs. That'd be about the maximum you could get if you only had 2 hits against him.
Mark Teixeira got off to a slow start last year, but got hot as soon as A-Rod came back in Baltimore. Was that May 8th?
Yeah.
It was a beautiful partnership from that point onward.
Talk about the fuel in the car, Joe.
A-Rod is on deck here. Neither Teixeira nor A-Rod has had a hit tonight. 3-1 the count.
One of the things with Mark Teixeira getting off a slow start, being a switch hitter, you just don't get as many reps in the batting cage in spring training and see each other. It takes him a while to get both swings down.
And he leads off with a walk. Well, I guess Ramirez figured, hey, I better be oh so careful. This guy's taking me deep a couple of times.
John, you can always tell. That's why I asked about Cameron, the way CC Sabathia pitched Cameron. It tells you that they've had success against him. Not the kind of success Teixeira had by hitting home runs, but Cameron had hit .467 against CC. You know, so and CC knew it, so he was being careful with him, and I was just watching the way he pitched him the entire ball game.
Well, A-Rod has only had 1 at bat in his career against Ramirez, and Ramirez struck it out. But not this time. Deep left field. That ball is high off the wall. Teixeira running hard all the way to third. He'll stop there as Ellsbury fires into Beltre. A double for Alex Rodriguez.
You know, there was a talking about earlier about balls that, you know, may go out of here that wouldn't go someplace else. Well, that ball may have gone out of another ballpark. It was a line drive, and it hits off the top of the wall.
That ball goes out of Yellowstone.
Yeah, look at that. That ball looks like it's out of here.
Yeah.
And it still hits the top of the wall. I think that ball would have been a home run in Yankee Stadium or most other ballparks here.
The wall in left field is 37 feet 2 inches tall.
But you see the difference there. That ball did not bounce straight back to him. It hit the wall, kind of died out there, and he had to go get it.
Left-hander Hideki Okajima comes in for the bullpen with Robinson Cano, a left-handed hitter coming up. Tie ball game with the Yankees with runners at second and third. We'll be back. Coverage has been provided tonight and is being provided by DirecTV. Get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV. John Miller, Joe Morgan, Oral Hershiser with you from Fenway. Top of the 7th. The Red Sox have just tied the game with a 3-run 6th, but now a walk to Teixeira and a double by A-Rod. The Yankees have runners at second and third, nobody out. And Robinson Cano, the 5th place hitter in the absence of Matsui. And Cano still having to prove that he could be an RBI man. He did not do well in these kinds of clutch situations last year. Okajima, on the other hand, excelled against lefties last year in particular. You see his overall numbers. He wasn't as strong overall as he'd been in the previous couple of years, but lefties only hit 167 against him.
It's not always about a breaking ball with him. He commands his fastball on both sides of the plate, an outstanding changeup.
The infield was deep, and Pedroia thought about the plate with Teixeira running on contact, but he scores, and Pedroia got the out at first. It's 6-5. The Yankees right back ahead.
Well, we talked about Cano making a wise play early. That was a wise play there by Pedroia. He had to go to first base. When you're this deep and it's a long throw, see, this is a long throw. Everybody says, well, he may have a shot at it. No, that's a long throw to make with the runner on the move like that. And we'll get a chance to look here. Now watch, this is a long throw. He couldn't get it there in time, so he made the right play. And you have to give Cano credit for doing the job. He pulled it to the right side, got the runner in, and moved A-Rod over to third base with less than 2 outs. So he didn't get the hit, but he did the job.
The right side of the infield pulls in now for Posada, batting right-handed. And that is too low for ball one. Another lefty, Granderson, is on deck.
That's what we talked about, too, and that about getting the ball up the middle of the field again. Longer throw for Pedroia. Euclid, that ball's the first base of Euclid. He has a shot at home.
Correct. You're right.
Alex Rodriguez down the line from third with 1 out. Right through the middle. So Posada, with his second RBI of the night, picks up A-Rod. This Yankee offense, they're not just powerful, they're efficient. A great situational at bat by Cano. And now Posada, as he's done so many times over the years, cashing in a big run, and the Yankees are up by 2 again.
I broke in with a guy, Steve Garvey, and he was an older Dodger when I broke in, and he used to wear out the batting cage in spring training trying to hit the machine, saying this is a runner on third and less than 2 outs, and I'm just going to try and use that screening and the batting cage to hit it up the middle, and that's where I want to hit the ball when I'm up in that situation. And Garvey used to wear it out.
Curtis Granderson, who was not good against lefties last year, hit only 183 against lefties, and Okajima, who almost never gave up a hit to a left-handed batter. Not a good scenario for Granderson on paper. He hit a home run in his first at bat as a Yankee, and it was a long one back in the second inning. Fastball too high.
Didn't I read something about Curtis Granderson found something wrong with his vision right after he signed with the Yankees? That his vision got improved, I think, with his medical checkup with the Yankees, and they thought that might have related a little bit to the troubles that he had with lefties, because prior to last year he was pretty good against lefties. I think he hit about 242, but he just fell off the cliff last year. Well, they said in spring training now he is picking the ball up a lot better off of left-handers, and they've calmed him down a little bit in his swing, but they expect this guy to hit really, really well this year. There's not a nicer human being in the world than this guy. This guy's amazing.
Smart kid, too.
Oh, yeah.
2-1 to Granderson. Ooh. Changed up. That's the changeup you're talking about, Oral. 2-2.
Well, I don't know what it looks like to Joe as a hitter, but as a pitcher, when you throw something like that, it's kind of Bugs Bunny. You know, you play catch with a guy like that out in the, down the line before the game in batting practice. And it's like you almost want to catch it twice. The arm speed is so fast, and then the ball comes out like a marshmallow.
2-2 the count. Posada at first. Now it's a full count. What about Posada here? He's not a fast runner. He's a catcher.
Well, it doesn't. The percentages aren't in your favor because he strikes out a lot, meaning Granderson struck out 141 times last year. It's not in your favor, but hey, you got a 2-run lead, put the pressure on if you want. But I don't think it's a good running situation.
Posada not running. And that is a walk. He came back with a changeup, missed too high with it. And that hurts if you're Okajima. That's the guy you got to get out with Swisher the Switcher coming up. On April 8th, don't miss the Masters on ESPN. That's the world's best battle for elusive glory and the coveted green jacket. First and second round coverage of the Masters April 8th and 9th on ESPN at 4 Eastern. Coverage of the Masters can also be seen on ESPN3.com. Here's Nick Swisher. It's been the lower part of the Yankee batting order that has done the most damage for the Yankees tonight. Swisher's had a single and a walk. 1 for 2 officially. 2 men on, 1 man out. And that is a changeup for ball 1. A left-handed hitter, Gardner, on deck. The Boston bullpen is going again. That's Manny Del Carmen, a right-hander who is throwing.
This game is so mental. You know, you're down 5-2 with CC Sabathia on the mound. You're Boston. You come back, you tie it up, and now your bullpen starts to give it up. You just have to fight through it.
2-0.
CC, in all intents and purposes, won 22 games last year. He won 19 in the regular season, 3 in the postseason. And you're battling him in your home opener, and then your bullpen comes in and kind of wets the bed.
That's a new baseball term.
Well, if we're going to say Jeet and Mo and all the nicknames, you know. That's what I used to say as a starter when they did to my outings. Usually said from rookies. So we had an age quotient there.
Well, it is disheartening.
You two guys have been here for 21 years.
I've
you
never
can't
heard
talk
that.
when I say that.
Yeah, but I've never heard that before.
I got a 21-year-old Booth quiet with one term.
Did he say what I thought he said?
I don't think so, John. I think my hearing's bad out of my right ear anyway.
Well, let's just don't comment on it.
Okay.
This could be 2. They'll trade a second 1. Pedroia over to first. 2, a double play. But the damage already done. Teixeira and A-Rod got it started. 2 runs have scored. The Yankees are back ahead 7-5. And we're going to
Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
everywhere. Get over 100 live out-of-market games per week in HD quality where available on your computer. Visit MLB.tv for details. Joe Girardi, Yankee manager, Terry Francona, skipper of the Red Sox, and we're having a wild one again, as so often happens when the Red Sox and Yankees have at it. Here's another newcomer to the Yankees, Chan-Ho Park. Veteran right-hander, 36 years old, from South Korea. And he introduces himself to Marco Scutaro with a pitch that was headed right toward the bill of his batting helmet. 1 ball and no strikes. Chan-Ho Park, longtime member of the Dodgers. Last year was with the Phillies. Went to the World Series with the Phils and started the year as a starting pitcher. Made 7 starts and then was moved to the bullpen. He had a lot of success in the pen for them and the year before with the Dodgers. And now working out of the bullpen with the Yankees. They didn't sign him until just before the start of the exhibition schedule in the Grapefruit League. February the 28th is when Park was picked up by the Yanks. 2-0. Scutaro just trying to get the Red Sox going here with Jacoby Ellsbury and Dustin Pedroia to follow. It's now 3-0. And one thing is for sure, whether it's opening day, October, November, if you're going to come from behind against the Yankees, you better do it
early,
before Mariano gets up in the bullpen. The great Rivera, about the best there's ever been. I don't know who's been better, all things put together, than Mariano Rivera at closing out a game time after time. And he seems to be getting old, and at the same time, he seems to not be getting old.
44 out of 46 last year. Saved 5 out of 9 games in the postseason for him. He's the all-time save leader in the postseason, I think, with 39.
He had 5 saves without blowing a save in the postseason. Yeah. 3-2 the count to Scudero. Up the middle and past Cano. Base hit. Scudero 2 for 3.
Good hitting there. The count went to 3-2, and he just kind of rolled a curveball up there. And Scudero doing a good job going back through the middle, gets a base hit. John, I was going to wait until we had our full audience as we take a look at this little breaking ball up the middle. I was going to wait till we had our full audience because it's not on in New York and Boston, but I wanted to congratulate you for winning the Ford C. Frick Award and the Hall of Fame, and looking forward to seeing you at Cooperstown this year.
Well, I appreciate it, Joe. And
I'll just have to do it again next week when we have our
can do it
full
every week
audience.
until he gets it.
Yeah. Okay. But congratulations, and well deserved, and it'll be fabulous. I'm telling you, when you get there to mingle with all those legendary voices and all the legendary players, it's quite a spectacle up there.
Well, when they called me to tell me I'd won the award, I immediately thought, what were they thinking? And then immediately blurted out, I accept. In case maybe they were thinking of changing their mind.
Yeah,
so,
no.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Joe Morgan, of course, a genuine Hall of Famer who did it on the field, and Oral Hershiser, who pitched like a Hall of Famer and was one of the best of his time, over 200 wins, and an MVP of the World Series, 2 times an MVP of the League Championship Series, and a Cy Young winner as well.
It's almost better not to be in the Hall of Fame. You get a longer resume, longer introduction. I love this.
Joe, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame. Now Oral. You know, that week, John, and you and Joe will be gone. It's a one-man booth. Oh. It's going to be really good. I'll tell you what, the responsibilities they give a rookie.
That's it for Ellsbury, and it has not been a night to remember for the Red Sox leadoff man. He's now 0 for 4, and twice has been called out on strikes. So 1 out, Scudero still at first. Here comes Pedroia, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. 7-5. The Yankees leading the Red Sox here in the 7th inning. Of course, when you do this job, it's already almost like you get rewarded every night you come into the booth. They pay you. You get to enjoy a big league ball game. Tomorrow, Joe, you and I are going to Houston. We're going to go see Lincecum and Oswalt, 2 outstanding right-handers.
Well, it's the same way as a player, John. I know Earl will tell you the greatest moments we have are when you're on the field doing our thing. So I can understand how you feel about broadcasting the same way. I always tell people I have the second best job in the world. The only job better is playing. You know, if I could still play, I'd rather play, but this is a good job as well.
Lincecum, who won his 2nd consecutive Cy Young Award last year, in his 2nd full season in the big leagues, he's the only one ever to do that. And he's up against Oswalt. Oswalt had some injury problems last year, and he had some minor ailments this spring. Had to have a shot just a few days ago, and was in doubt about being the opening day starter, but then he got the clearance from the doctors. They'll go head to head. They've had some great matchups over the years already. 7 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Pedroia down the line in left field. Way back there into the corner. It's tied up. Goodbye, Dustin Pedroia.
Well, one of the things that Pedroia says, he's going to hit 20 home runs this year. He hit 15 last year, but he said he was going to hit 20. Well, he's got a good start.
He struck out on a high fastball against C.C. Sabathia. This is a breaking ball. He's able to get the head out. The good thing he does here, Joe, for me, is that he takes this ball and he keeps it fair. That ball's a changeup, split finger that he left up, and he's a high ball hitter, and he did the right thing with it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good job there.
I'm looking for.
You're right. He does keep it fair down the line. It didn't hook foul.
So now, Victor Martinez. It's 7-7. It was 5-1 Yankees into the 5th inning. Red Sox got one in the 5th, 5-2. And they tied the game with 3 in the 6th. The Yankees untied it with 2 here in the 7th. The Red Sox have promptly tied it again. 7-7. Victor Martinez was grounded out twice, and then he doubled in the 6th inning. Martinez is switch hitter now. Of course, batting left-handed. And he curves him. Ooh, what was that one? That looked pretty good.
John and Joe, this is what we worried about with the Red Sox. We see Russell Marte down there in the bullpen warming up, but could they slug with the Yankees with the new roster moves and with the potential in the offense? Could they slug with him? Dustin Pedroia popping one out of here.
And the slider in under the hands, pulled foul by Victor Martinez. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Martinez, the third place hitter. Youkilis, the cleanup man, on deck. But Dustin Pedroia doesn't look like he would hit that many home runs, but he got a lot of pop.
17 is MVP year, 15 last year. Makes the prediction he wants to hit 20 this year. Same guy dove into first base and wanted to take Angel Hernandez's head off after he called him out. Little high changeup. You see the target by Posada down low and away, and Dustin, he knew he hit it far enough, but we've seen a lot of guys today come out of that box jogging, expecting that it's going to be a home run, but Dustin was right on that one.
That is just foul. Past the bag at first and down the right field line. 2-2 to Victor Martinez. Pedroia, by the way, hit a home run last year on opening day. So it's becoming an opening day tradition for Pedroia. Trot Nixon was the last Red Sox to homer in consecutive opening days. 8 years ago was the second time he did it. Victor Martinez has a lot of power. Very dangerous hitter. 2-2 the count.
You know, in some ways, this is a Red Sox team that has to develop a new swagger. You know, from 2000 to 2009, they win a couple World Championships. They have that Red Sox, you know, that's just kind of coming in that they can compete and take the Yankees down. And last year they get swept by the Angels. And they turn over the roster, and people wonder, is it going to be pitching and defense? Is David Ortiz going to respond to a slump of early last year? Is he going to be the same bopper? Is Mark Cameron going to have some offense? Is Scudero going to have some offense at short? Is Beltre going to hit enough at third? And Pedroia comes through, but there's those 2000 to 2009 championships right there.
3-2 the count to Victor Martinez. Right to Cano, but off his glove. He recovers and still gets him. 2 down. And Damaso Marte in the bullpen, the left-handers we saw. Big Papi coming out on deck. So one way or the other, Youkilis is likely, as you see Marte there, Youkilis likely the final hitter for Chan-Ho Park. 7-7 in the 7th inning. And out of play. Youkilis has hit a double off the left field wall and scored a run. Popped up to short. And then he hit a 2-run triple in the 6th inning to fuel their big, furious comeback. That made it 5-4, and a little bit later he scored to tie it up. Left center field. Gardner and Granderson looking up. Off the wall. A double for Youkilis. He's had 2 doubles and a triple.
Well, first of all, he's not throwing hard enough to go inside on Youkilis. He's kind of lucky this ball stayed in the ballpark, because if he pulls it a little bit more, it's out.
So Damaso Marte will be summoned for the bullpen by Joe Girardi, with David Ortiz coming up. And Girardi wondering, perhaps, is there somebody who can get an out for us in the bullpen tonight? 7-7 in the 7th. Big Papi coming up as Pedroia has tied it.
is presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And in part by State Farm. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com.
Oh, I thought it was the high. It's opening night baseball from Boston. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, Oral Hershiser. Here we go. Red Sox, Yankees. Another year of battles. Another year of excitement. And it's quite a wild night here. Red Sox at one time trailing 5-1. Then here in the 7th, they were down 7-5. Pedroia's homer has tied it. And Damaso Marte comes in to face David Ortiz with the possible go-ahead run at second base in the person of Kevin Youkilis. Ortiz is 0 for 3 tonight, and he's only 2 for 14 lifetime against Marte. Marte's numbers terrible last year, mostly when he was injured, but he was excellent in the postseason, helping the Yankees win the World Series. Back to the backstop on the first pitch. So now the possible go-ahead run is at third base.
You know, we've talked about Big Papi. Last year, 28 home runs, 99 RBIs, which is pretty good numbers. But he was always the big guy in these kind of situations. You know, game on the line, you know, late innings, walk-off home runs, walk-off base hits. These were the kind of situations that he excelled in, and that's what they need him to do again this year.
The right-handed hitting Beltre is on deck with the right-hander Jabba Chamberlain now warming up in the Yankee bullpen. Here's Jabba, 7-7 in the 7th. Ortiz backs away. So Marte last year appeared in 8 postseason games and never allowed a run. Against the Twins, the Angels, and the Phillies. And against the Angels and the Phillies, never allowed a hit in 7 games.
This is not spring training, and it's a shock to your system. Not only to come in from spring training to a big league game and the lights are on and the fans are here, but it is a shock, even as a veteran, to feel that adrenaline rush again and get used to it.
And it blew a fastball right by him.
Fenway Park didn't give up a run in spring training. 6 outings with the Yankees. Joe Girardi telling us he's throwing the ball really, really well. He kind of pitched scared tonight. Pitched backwards, didn't have a good fastball. Threw a lot of breaking balls when he's behind in the count. Left the ball up. Marte comes in, throws a wild pitch, the first pitch.
And that one is off the glove of Posada. Youkilis scores! And for the first time tonight, Boston has gone ahead.
Well, it's very easy to blame this on Posada because I think it's a pass ball. But when a guy comes in, he throws one low and away to your left, and then he turns around, throws one up and in to your right, it's very difficult to handle that. Now watch, I mean, look at the target. Now look where this pitch is. I mean, I still think he should have caught it.
And, man, this is getting ugly for the Yankees because they couldn't hold the lead. But it's one thing you don't hold the lead and guys are hitting the ball. Another thing you just give away the go-ahead run, a wild pitch, and then a pass ball. It was officially scored as a pass ball. And then the left-handed specialist just could not throw a strike to Big Papi anyway, the man he was charged with getting out. So now Jabba in for the bullpen to try and hold the deficit. 8-7 Red Sox. Jabba coming in to face Beltre. We come back. It's tied up! Opening night from Fenway Park. And what a night it has been. Red Sox 8, Yankees 7. The Red Sox who trailed 5-1 in the 5th inning, 5-2 in the 6th inning, only to tie it up, then fell behind again, 7-5 here in the 7th, and now with their second consecutive 3-run rally, for the first time on the night, they have gone ahead in the game, and there's Jabba Chamberlain to try and get somebody out here with David Ortiz at first and Adrian Beltre coming up.
Well, I just got a note from Peter Pasquarelli, and he said, we came here expecting pitching and defense.
Beltre has knocked in 2 runs in his first game as a member of the Red Sox, and that has long been the Achilles heel of Beltre, that good slider down and away. Dirt, and this time blocked by Posada. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Red Sox newcomers, Beltre, we mentioned his 2 RBIs, Cameron, Scudero, the 3 of them have combined to go 4 for 7 with 2 RBIs and a run scored.
They brought him here for the defense and better range and athleticism in the 3 positions at third, short, and center field. And right now, the bats are there also.
And that's how to play. There is a school of thought that Beltre, out of Safeco Field, which is definitely a good place to pitch, and here into Fenway, which has always been a great place to hit, that he could be a revelation to the Red Sox this year. And he's kind of counting on that himself with his agent, Scott Boras. He signed a 1-year deal as a free agent, hoping to have a much better year and get a much bigger contract. There is Cano to Jeter. And that's all for Ortiz. But a 3-run inning. Dustin Pedroia tied it with a homer. Now Boston is ahead as we go to the 8th inning. Finally ahead, but it's not a euphoric situation by any means, because they've had a hard time getting anybody out on the Yankee side as well. Jeter's coming up second in this inning. And here is Daniel Bard, the 24-year-old right-hander that is looked upon as the setup man in front of Papelbon for this season. And he throws hard. A fastball in there for a called strike. I don't know what our radar gun got that one at, but the Fenway radar gun said 96 miles an hour. Now, Bard had some success last year, a lot of strikeouts, but not so much success against the Yankees. The Yankees hit home runs against him just about every time they faced him.
And his development as a pitcher was never about stuff. It was just about location and sequencing to be able to execute pitches. And he's learned to get ahead of hitters. He's learned to finish them off. Now it's all about consistency. At the minor league level, Joe, you know this better than anybody. They do it just as well as they do it at the big league level. They hit it as far, they throw it as hard, they field it as well. But they don't do it day in and day out.
Right. Consistency is the key.
Just got a piece of that one at 98 miles per hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Yankees have had 16 men reach base tonight. You touched upon earlier in the telecast what Joe Girardi had passed on to you about losing Damon and Matsui, but they feel like the depth of their lineup from 1 through 9 will help make up for that. Every one of the Yankee hitters has reached base at least once tonight, and 7 of them have scored a run. 7 of the 9 Yankees have scored. Check swing, an appeal denied by Rob Drake, the third base umpire. 2-2. So that is balance up and down the lineup. Starting with Teixeira, the third place hitter, and everybody after. 7 Yankees in a row in the lineup have all scored 1 run, and they have 7 on the board altogether. But not enough on this night. They're trailing 8-7. And Gardner, who stole home back in the 4th inning for one of those runs, trying to get aboard here to get them going. Pedroia far to his left, covers up and got it. This one away. Now let's go to the studio and Steve Berthune for a SportsCenter in-game update. Okay, Steve, and here we go with one out. Derek Jeter has had 2 hits in this game. 1 ball and no strikes, a 99-mile-an-hour fastball from Bard. Jeter last year had 21 games with 3 hits or more. And part of his 212-hit season, he hit .334 for the season. He's had 2 hits and an RBI tonight. And that's down and in. 2-0 the count.
You see 99 and then you see 97. You wonder, where's this guy rank in all the big league arms? Well, last year in 2009, he was 3rd as far as fastest average fastball. Top was Joel Zumaya at 99, then Jonathan Broxton out in L.A., the closer, and then Daniel Bard.
Up and in to Jeter at 98 miles an hour, fouled away.
Somebody out there in San Francisco throws pretty hard, too. The Wilson kid, huh?
Giants closer, Brian Wilson. And there are some guys who can bring it around baseball.
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching all these guys hit tonight, John. You know, I like to watch hitters. All these good hitters, all are completely different styles. You know, Jeter fights the ball off. A-Rod gets the barrel out front. You know, Pedroia, Euclid, they're all completely different. It just kind of shows you, you know, about baseball. I mean, it's so difficult to hit, and you have to find your own niche and your own way to get the barrel to the bat to the ball. But they're all completely different type hitters. I mean, I don't think if we were to analyze all these hitters one by one, we wouldn't find any similarities except when they get to the ball.
Euclid, Bard covered. Jeter kept off the bases, a big out. With Nick Johnson coming up next, and then Teixeira and A-Rod. Now time to look at some keys to the season for the Yankees. Brought to you by Scott's. And you talked to Joe Girardi about this, Joe, earlier, replacing Johnny Damon and Hideki Matsui. Somebody's going to have to do it.
Correct.
And what about some of the elder statesmen on the Yankees? Are they still going to be as productive as they've been? And Javier Vasquez added to that rotation. He was one of the top pitchers in the National League last year. But he had a year to forget as a Yankee back in 2004.
But I think we also saw something else we need to add to that, the middle relief. To that question mark tonight.
Nick Johnson, yellow.
Because Marte and Chan-Ho Park did not show what they're made of. At least the Yankees hoped they didn't.
That's the thing about the Yankees, though. They almost have endless resources to go find somebody else if those kind of people don't do the job.
And ball 2 with Teixeira on deck. Johnson would just like to get on base here. And he's pretty good at it. He had 1 walk tonight. Otherwise, he's 0 for 3. By the way, you're talking about some of these real hard throwers. Bard is certainly one of them. But the guy he's setting up throws pretty hard, too. Jonathan Papelbon, Red Sox closer. And he's trying to get this game to Papelbon for the 9th inning. 3-0. Papelbon has had to wait, 5.5 months since his last outing, which was not successful. Papelbon starting to throw in the bullpen. He was not able to hold a lead in Game 3 of the division series against the Angels. And that was the night the Red Sox 2009 season came to an end. Wow. Bard now will have to face the man who tied for the league lead in home runs last year, Mark Teixeira. And he just could not find the strike zone at all to Nick Johnson.
When you throw 97, 99, 95, 96 miles an hour and you can't find the plate, that's when your teammates get a little upset because they know how hard it is to hit that stuff. And you got a 1-run lead with 2 outs and you walk somebody, that's just, it doesn't leave a good taste in anybody's mouth. And you get to Teixeira and then you get to A-Rod.
Well, plus, the worst thing, the most damage Johnson could have done was to tie the game. And he's not a home run hitter. But now you got Teixeira. If he hits a home run, you're behind. And Teixeira's hit 2 home runs in 6 career at-bats against Bard. Randy Winn, another new Yankee, formerly with the Giants in San Francisco, over to first base. Winn, a veteran, but he is a very fast runner and capable of stealing a base. And as we've seen already tonight, the Red Sox do not defend against the steal very well. They allowed more stolen bases last year than any other team, 151. So here is Teixeira. Got the call on the outside.
And truthfully, Bard with the high leg kick will allow Wynn to get a good jump if he wants to. I don't know if they want to send him with Teixeira up there and then A-Rod to follow, but Bard has the high leg kick, which allows you, if you're a good base runner, to get a good jump.
And Wynn was able to get back to the bag standing right there, so he had no problem getting back.
I don't have a problem with sending him here at all, because then a base hit scores a tying run, and A-Rod, big deal, he throws out. You can start with Teixeira and A-Rod leading off the next inning. They both got a chance to go yard then.
1 strike to Mark Teixeira, who tonight is 0 for 3 with a walk. His walk came in the 7th inning, and then later he scored a run in that inning. Now the Yankees are trailing 8-7 here in the 8th. 151 steals allowed last year, and they caught only 13%. About 1 out of every 8 steal attempts against them, they actually got the man. And that is the inning. Pedroia to Scudero. Hey, it's Sweet Caroline time here in Boston. They're going to get a special guest for that tonight. And surprise, I think, here at Fenway. Let's go to Carl Bean, the voice of Fenway Park.
Neil Diamond.
Oh, Neil.
Where it began, I can't begin to know it. But then I know that it's growing strong. Wasn't the spring? Spring became the summer. Who'd have believed you'd all come along? Touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching me. Sweet Caroline, the times never seem so good.
Robert Chamberlain trying to hold the deficit here, down by a run. The Yankees trail 8-7, and he throws a called strike to J.D. Drew, the 7th place hitter for Boston. Mike Cameron and Marco Scudero will follow. Red Sox would be wise to score some more if they can do it against this right-hander, because even though Papelbon has been so good as the closer, Papelbon will have to run the gauntlet. He'll come in to face Alex Rodriguez, Robinson Cano, and Jorge Posada. So an extra run, I'm sure, would be appreciated.
Insurance runs are always good.
J.D. Drew has struck out, singled, and scored a run, and grounded out to first. He is 1 for 3. This is an unlikely score, I'm sure, even if you're part of Red Sox Nation. When their ball club was down to C.C. Sabathia, 5-1 in the 5th, 5-2 in the 6th. But Sabathia did not survive the 6th inning. He went 5 1/3, charged with 5 runs and 6 hits. A-Rod, one away. Cameron will come up.
You know what I've noticed, John, is a different makeup for Jabba Chamberlain as a reliever compared to the starter and the whole development process. The breaths are in a shorter, quicker cadence. You know, he just looks more urgent about everything he does. Even the way he licks his fingers there on the mound and then staring in. There's just an intensity about him that really tells you that he might thrive again in this role. He had a terrible spring training. Like 10 innings pitched, 13 hits, 9 walks. Just really wasn't getting anybody out. But there's an urgency about him, everything with his mannerisms and his body language.
Well, even Derek Jeter, who never really ever says anything even close to being controversial, said that he was happy to see Jabba back in the bullpen because he thought that's the best spot for him. He thinks he will thrive in that role.
Well, they move a starter into the bullpen. They say, well, his velocity is going to play up. And Derek knows that, and he sees his players. We watched Phil Hughes move from the rotation, a failed starter at the time, to the bullpen and just turn out to be another type of pitcher. Throw harder, more intense breaking ball. And Jabba's arm played down as a starter, and maybe he'll play back up as a reliever.
Well, the only problem is, like you said, he had a poor spring training. When I talked to Girardi, it wasn't etched in stone that he's going to be the 8th inning guy right now. He's not sure, because of his poor spring. But I'm like you. I'm betting that he will become the 8th inning guy again.
Cameron pulls it foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, Girardi said before the game that at the start he's just going to go by matchups in terms of who's going to be brought in what situation. But ideally, as the season goes along, he'd like to see Jabba end up being that guy for the 8th inning. The way Hughes evolved into that last year. Hughes was a starting pitcher when the season began a year ago and did not become the 8th inning guy until around the end of July or the early August. And then he was lights out in that role.
When you sign a free agent or you trade for somebody, they get the role that they came from. And in some ways, Jabba is coming as a successful reliever to the pen. So you really can't downgrade him even if he has a bad spring training. He had already earned that 7th and 8th inning role when he came from that, and they said, let's have a development role to make him a starter.
Up the middle, and base hit to center. Mike Cameron, in his first game with the Red Sox, is 2 for 3 with a walk. And keep in mind that now we've talked many times about the new guys in each ball club, and almost all of them have done something good for their new ball clubs. But it's even more of an impact because of who they're doing it against. It's Cameron as a Red Sox against the Yankees. What a night. Curtis Granderson, his first game as a Yankee against the Red Sox at Fenway, hit a spectacular home run in his first at-bat.
It's important to get off to a good start when you're a new guy, but especially when it's these two organizations, because that weight can get heavy on you. Joe, you talked about it's important these guys get their first hit, first home run early. It's got to be extra important as a Red Sox game.
Definitely. No, I mean, this starting against each other, I mean, this is one of the greatest rivalries in sports, so both of these guys have gotten off to good starts.
Marco Scutaro. Now Scutaro, his first night in the 5th inning with 2 down and 2 men on, with his club trailing by a 5-1 score. He got a base hit to knock in the second run of the night. Clutch 2-out single for an RBI. In the 7th inning, they were down 7-5. He singled and started the 3-run rally that put them ahead. So Scutaro, hitting 9th in the order, has also had quite a first game against the Yankees.
A lot was said about Scutaro coming in, and another change, another shortstop for Dustin Pedroia to work with. He's had a parade of shortstops over there in his time here with the Red Sox. It was even hard for Terry Francona to name all the shortstops that have played for the Red Sox over the last few years.
Somebody asked him that, and he said, well, let's see. Nomar, Orlando Cabrera, Edgar Renteria, Julio Lugo, Alex Gonzalez, Alex Cora, Jed Lowry, Nick Green, and I may have left out about 10 or 12 guys. That's a lot of shortstops in a short time.
Velasquez.
What would that be like, Joe, to play for all those shortstops?
Depends on how good they are.
Slide it too low.
I remember Roberto Alomar was playing second with Cal Ripken. You know, Ripken playing. Those two guys are pretty good, so it usually can work out.
Well, you know, I was there doing the Baltimore games at that time. It looked like a dream matchup. And it never really went that fluidly between the two.
Well, the only thing I would say is that I've always talked about it. You need to have the same quickness or the same rhythm.
And they say that's one of the best things about Scudero is that everything he does is so consistent. It's like coming out of a machine. His feeds to Pedroia. Pedroia says this is where I want it on the double play. This is where I want it on the flip. This is the speed I'm expecting, and he can do it over and over and over again the same way for him. It's got to be comfortable when your back's to the runner, how to have a shortstop that feeds you the same way.
Well, you force him to feed you the right way.
What, do you throw it back if he doesn't?
No, you just make sure that you, as they say, when his turn comes.
Oh, you're going to give him one of those high
balls. No, but I think it's just hard work, and, you know, guys that are willing to work can learn to play together.
Dustin Pedroia. And then Scudero. Everything's going fairly well for them tonight.
They asked Scudero in spring training what it was like to work with Dustin. He said, well, you've got to learn to listen because he likes to talk.
Marco Scudero, he's been with 5 different teams, and most of his career, a utility man. Everybody always seemed to look at him as a utility man, a valuable utility man. But suddenly, he started hitting with more authority, became an everyday player in Toronto, and he was a coveted free agent this past offseason. There goes Cameron, and that is ball 4. Scudero reaches for the 3rd straight time, and we go to the top of the order for Jacoby Ellsbury. We were talking about Jonathan Papelbon. He's getting ready in the bullpen for the 9th inning. He was 1 strike away from victory 3 separate times in the 3rd game of the division series against the Angels. And he had been spotless in his postseason career. But then, with 2 outs in the 9th, a 3-run inning. And the last 2 runs, Vladimir Guerrero spelled the end of the Red Sox in 2009. So with 1 out, 2 men on, here is Ellsbury. And that is in the dirt. Ellsbury has not had a hit in this game. He is the only Red Sox player not to have reached base. Each team has had 11 hits overall. David Ortiz is also hitless tonight, but Ortiz walked in the 7th inning. Ellsbury has flied out, grounded out, and twice been called out on strikes. Pedroia on deck. And that's over the outside, a fastball for a strike. Ellsbury last year had 70 stolen bases. I don't know that they'd ever seen somebody do that here in Boston.
Since Tommy Harper was in that area.
And Tommy didn't steal 70. He stole in the 50s. Yeah. Granderson. Cameron tags at second. Starts to third, and now Granderson throws in behind him, and he dives back to the bag. And that's an 0 for 5 for Ellsbury. Wow, you shut down the Red Sox igniter at the top of the order. You keep him off the bases entirely, and Boston has scored 8 runs despite that.
And they've only hit the 1 home run, and that was by Pedroia, so it's not the bombing Red Sox, but they're able to put the numbers together, get base hit, and manufacture a couple of runs.
Big night for Youkilis. 2 doubles, a triple, 2 RBIs, 3 scored. also Adrian Beltre, 2 big RBIs, 2 hits and a walk for Scudero. And Pedroia, a walk and a 2-run homer. His homer tied the game in the 7th.
Well, that was the Red Sox come from behind, but don't change the channel because these Yankees come from behind too. Look at that off-speed pitch up and in, Joe. He keeps it fair and doesn't hook it foul and hits it high enough over that monster. The Yankees the last 2 years, in 08, 49 come from behind wins, and 51 last year, both first in baseball the last 2 years.
Base hit to right field. Swisher throwing home. Cameron, teeth! 9-7 Red Sox. Scudero to third.
Well, another good job of hitting by Pedroia. High fastball out over the plate. He doesn't try to pull it. He just goes the other way and lines it to right field for a base hit. Now watch the pitch. Fastball away, and he just lines it to right field. Good job of hitting. And Cameron hustles around, 37 years old. He can still run young.
So Swisher doesn't have the real right fielder's arm.
But he caught it shallow.
And he had the
play him deep.
And he had the momentum behind the throw. The ball was hit real hard. And Cameron runs pretty well for a 37-year-old guy. Or a 31-year-old guy.
The thing about Pedroia, what he did, up and in off-speed pitch from Chan Ho. He hits it to left field for a home run. Now he gets a fastball a little up and away from Jabba. Hits it to right. That's a complete player.
Every Yankee reliever, and there have been 4 of them, Robertson, Park, Marte, and now Chamberlain, have been touched up one way or the other. Robertson came in for Sabathia, promptly allowed a hit and a run to Sabathia's record. Park gave up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Marte gave away the last of those with a wild pitch plus a pass ball that was poorly thrown and lost by Posada. Now here is Jabba Chamberlain, and he has given up a run to his own record. And Victor Martinez is trying to make it more.
And they just gave Posada the sign to watch, at third base in case they try a double steal.
Pedroia at first, Scudero at third. It was here last year. Jacoby Ellsbury, we talked about his 70 steals a year ago on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Jacoby Ellsbury with a straight steal of home against Andy Pettitte with Posada catching. Not a double steal, just a straight out steal. That's the Yankee bullpen total. 4 runs, 6 hits allowed in 2 1/3 innings with a wild pitch, plus a run allowed to the starting pitcher's record. CC Sabathia on top of that. Changeup missed badly. 2-2.
Tell you that run that they just drove in, Alex Rodriguez leading off the inning is swinging the bat good. He's already hit a ball here tonight that was a double off the Green Monster. That would have been a home run in almost any other ballpark. And he would have loved to have a shot, just as a solo shot, to lead off the inning, to tie this thing up. But now he's just got to get on base.
And a bit of relief for Papelbon. On Sunday Night Baseball a couple of years ago, we were here, and Alex Rodriguez beat Papelbon with a 9th inning home run.
Well, I just saw Posada go out and stand in front of the plate. They changed the signal on what they're going to do, whether they're going to throw through or not if the guy does break for second base.
And he breaks for second base, but Martinez bounces it foul.
And that's why you let everyone know what you're going to do. If you're going to throw through, or if you're going to throw to third, or you can throw to first. A lot of throw to the pitcher. Everybody has, you see. And that's what Posada's trying to get straight so they won't make the same mistake that the Red Sox made when Jeter took off from first and allowed Gardner to score on the double steal.
The Yankees had that double steal back in the 4th inning. And that was their 4th run of the night as they were building their early lead. There's that
But he mouthed to him. He mouth faked to him when we had the camera on him. Like Jabba didn't know the sign.
That can stop it right there, truthfully, because they let the pitcher cheat. So they can stop it by faking to third.
There's 2 outs. We won't get into that.
Go. Well, the guy can't go if he doesn't know when he can take
the
off.
cheat word.
Yeah.
He's going. High in the air, right center field. A lot of room out there. Nick Swisher. And so, we are going to the 9th inning. Boston 9, Yankees 7. But the big guns are coming up. A-Rod, Cano, Posada, Papelbon. Heading into the bullpen gate. The drop kick, Murphys, with their song, which is beloved here in Red Sox Nation. Ship it up to Boston, and they play that every time Jonathan Papelbon comes into a game. But here he is to face Alex Rodriguez. But with a 2-run lead, 95 miles an hour for a strike. A-Rod has won 1 for 4. His one hit is a double high off the wall and left. And that was part of a 2-run rally that put the Yankees back ahead after Boston had come roaring back to tie the game. That is Beltre. 1 away. Tonight's Chevrolet player of the game. And it's a hard pick because Kevin Youkilis was a key man fueling that comeback in the 6th inning. He had 2 doubles and a triple, but we're going with Dustin Pedroia, who started that 6th inning rally with a walk and then hit a 2-run homer in the 7th inning to tie the game for a second time, and then an RBI single in the 8th inning to give that little extra bit of insurance to Jonathan Papelbon. Robinson Cano, a double, a single, a run batted in. He's 2 for 4 all told. 9-7, the Red Sox lead. They've had 16 runs in this game. There have been 33 base runners between the 2 ball clubs. We've had a steal of home on a double steal. And we've had back and forth action that you don't see in baseball that often, with one team with one of the best pitchers in baseball to the mound blowing a 4-run lead. Left center field. There is Ellsbury. And this Red Sox outfield, it'll be hard to get a ball between the 3 of those guys. They all run well. And Ellsbury, the left fielder, and Cameron, the center fielder, are both center fielders. 2 down in the 9th, and Posada is the Yankees' final hope. The Red Sox plan of stronger defense, stronger pitching, preventing runs, maybe needs a little work, but the offense looks fine. Yeah. 9-7. The Red Sox are leading. 2 down in the 9th. Posada has a home run. His home run in the 2nd inning was the first hit of this 2010 Major League season. A screamer down the right field line off Johnny Pesky's foul pole. And he also had an RBI single in the 7th inning. The Yankees have not scored since, however. Another base hit for Posada, his 3rd hit of the game, plus a walk. Major League Baseball and People magazine are looking for individuals who make a difference in their community. 30 everyday All-Stars will be honored at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim. To nominate, go to peopleallstars.com. So now, Yankees new center fielder Curtis Granderson, he hit a home run in his first at bat as a Yankee. But they need him to do it again. Down by 2. Strike with a fastball. We also should mention, as we watch Papelbon throwing gas out there, trying to close it out, the game was handed to him by Daniel Bard, who was very strong in the 8th inning, by a team that just chewed him up last year. The Yankees destroyed him last year.
It's a rarity, too. You go from a setup guy that throws harder than your closer.
Ooh, came after him. Power versus power. Strike 2.
he gives him anything to pull, it's going to be a breaking ball in the dirt that he can't reach. Other than that, it's going to be climb the ladder or keep the ball away from him. You don't want to give him anything to be able to drop a little head. I always fear that slow breaking ball here, the left-hand hitter drop the head and get a 2-1.
Well, I don't think he'll go soft.
I think he's got to go hard, maybe hard, high and away even.
They want it high and in.
Whoa. That was close.
They tried to go up and in and get the call. But it was kind of interesting because Martinez, you see there's just off the plate inside, according to Kazon.
Yeah, but what, about 1/8 of an inch?
Well, Martinez kind of moved the umpire over Joe West to let him know he was coming inside.
1-2. There goes Posada. And he went with the splitter. Beltre. And the Red Sox beat the Yankees on opening night 2010.
Well, as usual, a good game between the Yankees and Boston. They always seem to, give their best against each other, and it was a very good ball game.
It was a nice comeback, down 5-2, and come all the way back. And their MVP of 2 years ago, Dustin Pedroia, put them ahead.
And quite a day for fans of professional sports here in New England. The Celtics beat LeBron James and the Cavs despite 42 points by LeBron earlier today. And now the Red Sox beat the Yankees despite CC Sabathia and a 4-run lead for CC. But they come storming back and they have defeated the Yankees 9-7. And the bullpen for the Red Sox had its own escapades tonight, but finally barred the setup man Papelbon the ninth inning. That looks to be pretty solid. Opening day tomorrow, 5 games on the ESPN family of networks. Now, coming up on ESPN, it's NBA Fast Break. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. With Joe Morgan, Oral Hershiser, and our entire crew, this is John Miller. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. This has been opening night from Fenway Park. Now, here's NBA Fast Break.